injured, contract an occupational disease, or die due to work-related incidents. Jabulile Mbata has more.
A section of the two-story building collapsed yesterday, killing 6 people on the scene. 3 more later succumbed to their injuries. Sibiya says officials have already begun assessing the surviving workers so that their compensation processes can get underway. Meanwhile, the owner of the construction site has still not been traced, and investigations into what caused the collapse remain ongoing.
So we have to assist them because they are registered with Compensation Fund, they are registered with FEM. So it means legally, when it comes to issues of social security, these companies registered these workers.
The site has now been handed over to police following the recovery of all the bodies. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Omonde.
Convicted rapist and murderer Tabo Bester has suffered yet another legal blow. Bester returned to court today seeking to have the decision to transfer him to the country's only super maximum security prison overturned. This was his second attempt to secure a transfer out of Ebongweni in Kokstad. His first bid was struck off the roll. His legal team continued to argue that his transfer was unjustified and infringes on his right to properly prepare for his upcoming trial later this month. His advocate, Moafrika Wamaila, told the court his escape from the Mangaung Correctional Facility should not have been used as an excuse to move him to Kokstad.
If there are allegations, before they took him to Khosi Mampuru, they knew that. They knew those are allegations he's on a trial with. Now, the question we're asking is to say, what is the reason to take him to Ebongweni Supermax? Because when you take him to Ebongweni Supermax, you are also infringing on some of his rights.
Well, today the state maintained the application has no substance, while the judge said it was sloppy and riddled with incorrect dates. Deputy National Police Commissioner Tibelo Musikidi says the decision to disband the Political Killings Task Team was done almost haphazardly. Musikidi also says she was sidelined by her fellow Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya about that decision. The decision to disband that task team was taken on New Year's Eve in 2024 by Minister now on special leave, Senzo Mchunu. Musikidi has been giving evidence before Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is probing allegations of police corruption. Babalondenze is there.
Lieutenant General Tebelo Musikidi was scheduled to testify last year, but had to focus her attention on the G20 Leaders Summit, which was being hosted in Johannesburg. Today she appeared and was questioned about her knowledge of the decision to disband the PKTT by Minister Senzo Mchunu. She told the committee that she's acted in the position of National Commissioner 11 times, including when Mchunu issued his directive.
This also happened during the 2024-2025, where the National Commissioner was on leave on the 31st of December 2024.
She told the committee that the directive had caught her off guard and was already leaked to the media.
I became confused. I was also surprised, and I questioned the authenticity of the directive, as I could not believe the content, and precisely because of the tone.
Musikidi's evidence continues with more questions from members of Parliament. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The DA has downplayed the 350,000 rand working trip that Public Works Minister Dean McPherson recently took to Brazil with his partner. The DA says the trip complied with the travel policies it has set out for its own members. McPherson has come under fire since the city press revealed the details of his trip, with some political parties accusing him of wasting the taxpayers' money. Thabiso Goba has more.
Prior to joining the Government of National Unity, as an opposition party, the DA was strongly against ministers wasting taxpayers' money by taking their partners to international working trips. This was despite the fact that the Ministerial Handbook does make provision for cabinet members to bring their spouses or partners on working visits. With the revelation that DA member and Public Works Minister Dean McPherson took his partner on a 350,000 rand trip to Brazil on the taxpayers' dime, some political parties have labelled the DA as hypocrites. However, the DA's Federal Council chairperson Helen Zille disagrees.
I do not know exactly what the Ministerial Handbook says. The Ministerial Handbook governs all of these trips, and the DA also has a travel policy, and Dean McPherson applied under the DA's travel policy to travel.
Zille says the matter is being discussed internally within the party. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
And the U.S. State Department has ordered all non-emergency staff to leave 6 Middle Eastern countries. This comes as attacks continue to play out in the war in the Middle East. The war began on Saturday when joint U.S.-Israeli strikes killed Iran's supreme leader. Since then, Iran has launched retaliatory attacks across the region. The department says it has updated travel advisories for Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. Earlier, it urged Americans to leave all of the Middle East from Egypt eastward due to safety concerns. Gold is trading at $5,258.11 an ounce. The rand is at 16.32 to the dollar, 21.68 to the pound, 18.93 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $81.28 a barrel.
In the traffic, look out for faulty traffic lights in Midrand at Old Pretoria Road and Olifantsfontein Road, in Lone Hill at Lone Hill and Main Road, as well as in Douglasdale at Douglas and Witkoppen Road.
In your sport, Kaizer Chiefs aiming to restore pride as they take on Richards Bay in the Bedway Premiership. Rassie Erasmus says the Springboks will prioritise squad depth in 2026. And John Rahm accuses the DP World Tour of extorting players with Live Golf deal.
It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 25 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the Department of Labour has committed to providing the necessary support to affected construction workers following a building collapse in Omonde in the south of Joburg.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
.702 Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 9 minutes past 3 on Tuesday, the 2nd of March. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you are listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. The tragedy at the collapsed building in Omonde has deepened today, with the death toll now revised upwards from 6 to 9. We'll get the latest from the site of this terrible accident with Jabulile Mbata. She's joining us in a moment. After 5, we'll get some help understanding how this could and should have been avoided. There are, as I understand it, very strict, very clear guidelines in regard to putting up buildings, making sure that the plans make sense and are safe. We'll talk to Prof. Walls from the University of Stellenbosch after 5. In other stories, Joburg City councillors have just awarded themselves a rather handsome pay rise. Who voted for the hike? Who was against it? And what happened to some rather interesting footage from the council session taken when the vote was on? It seems to have disappeared. More on that with Alex Patrick of News 24 in a moment. The Proteas play New Zealand in a World Cup T20 semi-final tomorrow. Thoughts on the game at 20 past 5 with Rassie van der Dussen, former Proteas star who knows all about those high-pressure games, currently with the Lions, but taking time after practice to talk to us about this massive World Cup semi-final tomorrow. And between 4 and 5 o'clock today, well, Benny won't be in the 18 area today, or let me rephrase that. He's always going to be in the 18 area in many people's minds and memories. But Benni McCarthy, whose autobiography has just been released, will be in the 702 Drive studio, spending an hour with us, as I said, between 4 o'clock and 5. It's a terrific book. It really does bring back memories of all sorts of highlight moments in South African football and, of course, Benny's personal story is a fascinating one indeed. Really, really looking forward to that. On the markets, you really don't want to know. With every bourse on the planet taking a battering today, the JSE All Share is down by 5,390 points. That's a fall of 4.47%. Every index is deep red in color, but the resources index has been hit the hardest, down by 7.5. Gold is still well above $5,000 an ounce, but the platinum price has plunged by 11%. Not surprisingly, Implats down 13.7%, Valterra and Northam by 10.4%. Construction company WBHO, one of the biggest losers today though, so far shedding 15.2% today. I don't know why, but I know a guy who knows. He'll be in a little later. There's been some upside today. Tungela, which supplies Sasol with coal, is up 12.3%. Sasol itself up 4.9%. This on big gains yesterday and I think at the end of last week as well. Exxaro has gained 2.1%, and there has been a small gain for Aspen Pharmacare, presumably on strong expected sales for headache pills. The rand is trading at 16.34 against the dollar, 25 cents weaker over the last 24 hours. A euro will cost you 18.97 rand, 21.76 rand will get you a pound. That's a 21-cent loss against sterling. Stephen Curtis, the guy I mentioned, joins us with all the market news at 4:25. We'll have sport with Tola Kele Mganga and Mbali Dlamini, who you heard a moment ago, is back at 3:30 with the latest news headlines, and Khomotso Munyai is keeping an eye on the roads. She'll update you shortly. This is 702 Drive. We are live in the place where you live. If it's happening in 702 land, you will hear about it here first, but with your help, of course, we can cover so much more ground. Now, some of you may not know that the Minister of Public Works, Dean McPherson, has been at the site of that Omondi building collapse and tragedy, and he is appealing to anybody who may know anything about who was actually putting that building up in the first place, because whoever's construction site that was, they have simply disappeared, gone to ground. So if you know anything about that, even if you've got a couple of clues or any other story that you think you can help out on, contact us on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. It's 14 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
So there's always lots to talk about, lots to inquire about, lots to think about, and sometimes we pick up on things that are out on the news agenda and spin out a question that we'd like you to get involved with us on, and sometimes we have some fairly random thoughts. This one falls kind of between the news and the random thoughts, and it's about rabbit holes. Now, if you wonder what we're talking about, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the idea, but where you go online and you just get into something, and you can't get out of it and you vanish down a rabbit hole. My experience of it is always it's on negative stuff, because if it's stuff that I just love reading about, like, you know, if it happens to be Thursday morning later this week and South Africa have handsomely beaten New Zealand in cricket, then I don't mind being down that. It doesn't feel like a rabbit hole. But if you're looking at platinum prices, future prospects, that probably is a little bit of a rabbit hole now, because I suspect nobody knows. I've got a few rabbit holes that I really try very, very carefully to avoid. A lot of them involve South African politics, certain aspects of it, particularly corruption. I get into a story and I've suddenly been there for 25 minutes. It's like, oh man, this is not going to improve, and it's definitely going to get worse. Sometimes with sports results, I have to say to myself, okay, 24-hour curfew, you're not going to analyze how your team managed to blow a 2-goal lead or whatever it might be. So rabbit holes, if you've got one, what is it? And do you have any tips for some of us who battle on how you actually get out of a rabbit hole before you even get into it? Because clambering out, I think, could be quite time-consuming, bad for the fingers. Refuwe Letsua putting together today's show alongside Jonathan Fairbairn. What's your rabbit hole when you go online?
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. So my rabbit hole is always about health. I remember going down this particular rabbit hole. So I was looking at, is it healthy? Are juices healthy? Can you how much juice can you take? Is it good? Is there too much sugar?
Yes.
And, it started out with a podcast. Lovely. I was taking notes. Next thing I know, I was looking at a video of a factory in India with these guys using their feet to crush the fruit. And I tell you, I kept watching that video over and over and over. And so my rabbit hole is always like health stuff.
Okay.
And also chewing gum. How do we make chewing gum? And then I just end up thinking, why are you doing
Do
this
you
to
eat
yourself?
chewing gum?
I do.
Oh, okay.
And I shouldn't. But I do.
Any feet involved in the chewing gum?
It's disgusting, but I didn't see feet.
Okay, well, at least, that's one up on
I can share some videos with you.
No,
so I
I'll
can
be good.
share a
I'm
bit of
absolutely.
trauma.
No, absolutely.
I
fine.
mean, sharing is caring, John. Come on, we're a team.
Yes, sharing is not always caring. I don't think I've eaten a piece of chewing gum in 7, 8, 9 years. Just
I've
don't
got
eat
in my
it.
bag, guys.
No,
Let's
we're
share.
good. We're good. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks. And I have spare socks just in case anyone needs to do any footwork. Okay, so Khumotso, rabbit holes. Have you vanished down a few, and if so, where did you go?
Yes, so I don't have a specific one, but every time when I'm reading a particular book and I bump into a word that I do not know, I will quickly run to Google and I will search that word, and I'll find myself searching bigger things or deeper things than just what the word is.
Yes.
So I'm currently reading this book, The Overthrow of Robert Mugabe, by Blessing Dendi, and there are just these words that I've never encountered in my entire life. There's one called I think it's neo-patriotism or something along those lines. And I'm just like, what? And, reading these words, you come across so many other things. And then I end up just being on Google for like 50 minutes and then having read one page of the book. So,
but your vocabulary
listen,
I was about to say,
what do you
John.
mean? Absolutely.
Does your head even fit on the pillow at the end of the day? So, rabbit holes, please. What are yours? Give us a call. That, by the way, sounds like a very productive exploration and using the internet to find out stuff you don't already know. My stuff, for example, with the outcome of a sports event is you keep reading for explanations of what you've seen and not enjoyed watching it all, somehow in the bizarre hope that actually this might change something. And, there is an expression, kyk wat sê die scoreboard. That does not change after the ref has blown the final whistle. So, give us an update, please, then, on the traffic, which doesn't change quickly, but it does shift, and you're here to guide us home.
Yes, indeed. I have got you. So we'll start in Amalgam. Traffic is sluggish on Main Reef Road. This is from Chinamore heading towards the Crown interchange. If you are leaving Sandton, there's traffic pressure on the M1 North just before the Betlu interchange with delays from Collet Drive. Also, there are look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenvale at Morgenfontein and Van Riebeek, in Ilovo at Collet and Oxford, and in Tshwane you can look out for faulty traffic lights in Centurion at Old Johannesburg Road. No, this is at Old Johannesburg and Parkfontein, as well as in Marabastad at Escampahlele Drive and FW Nkomo. Likewise, if you come across any other traffic, please do send us a voice note or a text on 072-702-1702 or send us a tweet on X at EWN Traffic.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Let's go out to Ormonde now. A section of a two-story building collapsed on Monday, but today the aftermath continues. 6 people were declared dead at the scene. 3 others have succumbed to their injuries, and our thoughts certainly go out to their friends and family. Those friends and family have not been notified yet, as we understand it. Hence, no names released at the moment. But certainly a lot of senior politicians gathering at the site. I mentioned earlier that Public Works Minister Dean McPherson has called on anyone in the public who might know anything about whose building site this was to please get in touch with the authorities. I don't have a specific number for that, but you know what? If you come up with anything, please send it to us. Get in touch with us here at 702 and we'll get in touch with the various entities of government. The police, of course, will need to be involved with this. Public Works is taking an interest. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi was on the scene this afternoon, and Executive Mayor of Joburg, Dada Murero, was there earlier today in the morning. Let's hear from our EWN reporter, Jabulile Mbatha, who is on the scene. Jabulile, a very good afternoon to you. We don't yet know who the contractor was, the construction company. All will be revealed a little bit later, I'm sure. But do you know what was being built, for example? What structure was actually going up? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. It's not yet clear, but it does seem like it is a warehouse because also in the surrounding area, there are warehouses. And, you know, we can only just assume that's what it was. I mean, we don't have that information right now because the owner of the construction site has basically gone AWOL. One of the things you mentioned in your intro is that, you know, the owner isn't known, but actually it is known to the city of Johannesburg. Mayor Tabo Bester earlier today said they even have a phone number, but the owner of the construction site is not answering the phone. And, you know, reporters have been asking all these officials who are speaking that why is it then taking so long to locate the owner of the construction site if there is a number, if he is known to law enforcement authorities, but, you know, we don't have those answers. One of the things even Premier Panyaza Lesufi said is that, you know, of course, if someone commits a crime, then they would be on the run, which is the case with the owner of the construction site. So, yes, we do know that some of the workers were registered as employees. They were registered with the Department of Labor. But we can't see them right now. We can't see where the owner is. He doesn't want to account. They don't want to come forward. And even the Minister of Public Works is, you know, urging him or the community or anyone who has any information to just come forward because it is important that they bring the owner to book.
Jabulile, just a final one. I mean, the site of the tragedy, what is the state of it? Has all the rubble been cleared? And do we know for certain that there's nobody still left in the ruins, or are there concerns that not everyone is accounted for?
So the Johannesburg search and rescue teams have confirmed that all bodies have been retrieved. But as we can see, you know, there's still quite a lot of rubble. It's going to take some time for officials to clear out the scene. They also have mentioned that the scene has been handed over to police because from their knowledge, everyone has been recovered and removed under the rubble. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. But, you know, operations are kind of slowing down right now. Officials started very early at 8 o'clock in the morning when they were drilling through the concrete. And that's one of the things that they've mentioned, that because it's concrete, it's quite sensitive. You know, they need to actually just tread carefully. And there is a chance that it could collapse again, which is why they, you know, taking it very slowly and just being steady. But from what we understand, all the people who have been accounted for has been retrieved and removed.
Thank you very much. Jabulile Mbata, EWN reporter on the site out in Omonde of that tragedy. Now, I mentioned that Executive Mayor Tabo Bester was out there and he made a number of comments, many of them reflecting the fact that they don't know everything. But he had something to say towards the end of his engagement with the media that I must say I found very puzzling. And I'll share it with you. I'm paraphrasing here. It's not an exact quote, but it is, in my view, a very accurate paraphrase. And he says, "We are calling on all builders, construction companies and developers to submit their plans before they start work." Now, on one level, he's stating the obvious. The part I have a problem with is we are calling on all of them as if this is some kind of cooperation that needs to be encouraged and in some ways coaxed. I mean, surely the law on this point is absolute. You cannot start on a building site unless you submit your plans. My understanding is that it is a crime, and it's a bit like saying we are calling on all people who sell financial products to be absolutely honest with people about the interest rates that they will be earning. I mean, that is what the law says. And the reason I'm harping on this point is surely this is a moment where the city stands up in the person of the executive mayor and sounds furious and sounds deeply concerned and says, we will not tolerate the beginning of any construction without plans being submitted. I don't see where we call on the construction companies to obey the law. It's like saying we call on all bus companies not to send vehicles out on the roads that don't have working brakes. Tougher talk, greater sense required of some sort of determination and urgency and grievance at what has happened out in Ormonde. That's the gap for me, and maybe you've got different views or share my views. Either way, give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Well, one instance in which the city's politicians were certainly forthright and unambiguous in their feelings was when the city council announced that a majority had voted in favor of a salary increase. Now, this was based on a report. What happens, as I understand it, with these salary increases is the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister, Velenkosini Hlabisa, puts out a document which says what the upper limits would be. There's a consultation with the MEC responsible for local government in Gauteng, and then the councillors vote on whether they should go for the upper limits. And it would seem in a city that is struggling, for example, to pay contractors to finish the Brixton Reservoir, councillors felt that they should go for the max. So, who voted for it? Who was against it? And there's some interesting questions around what appears to be some interesting, shall we say, footage from the proceedings that seems to have gone missing. Alex Patrick writes for News 24, and she covered the story. Alex, a very good afternoon to you. I'm looking at the votes that you've detailed in the story you put out. 98 councillors voted for it from the ANC, the AHC, and AIC. 85 councillors from the DA, Freedom Front Plus, and the EFF voted against a raise, and 30 councillors from Action SA abstained from the vote. I am struck that if Action SA had actually voted against it, this thing wouldn't have passed. Any idea why they abstained?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Yes, that is one of the issues with Action SA. They are a party of abstinence in Johannesburg. Apparently, it was a message from up top. I don't know if it was, to kind of show that they had some kind of power and that they weren't going to vote with DA or the ANC. We have no idea. And quite frankly, the members within that caucus have no idea.
Wow. Okay, well, that's a story that I'm sure you're going to be following. We'll keep an eye out, but we may want to ask Action SA why the abstention. Now, the numbers are substantial. Executive Mayor Dada Morero his salary now moves to 1.65 million rand. That's a bump of almost 65,000 rand. Interestingly enough, the Deputy Mayor, Loyiso Masuku, this is a newly created post, and we were told, or perhaps I misheard, you'll correct me if I did, that this was not going to increase any financial obligations on the part of the city, as she would continue as finance MMC. But in fact, as Deputy Mayor, she gets more than she would have got as MMC. Am I correct on that?
You are correct, and actually that's a good thing to point out. We know that the DA are very fond of deputy mayors.
Yes.
And the reason why they did not put a deputy mayor into Johannesburg is that their sums said that just to establish her office would cost about 10 million.
Right.
And it's obviously right that when her station went up, her salary went up. She had the biggest leap of I think it's over 100,000 rand her leap, whereas everybody else had between 50 and 60,000.
And the councillors have done well out of this. Now, this is a real oddity and curiosity that you uncovered in your story. But you said when the vote passed, the deputy mayor leapt, I'll read the sentence, Loyiso Masuku jumped out of her chair yelling, yes, while the councillors behind her all whooped and clapped. Presumably that's the rest of the ANC caucus in the city. But you're saying the footage that is the recorded documentation of the session appears to have deleted this particular moment?
Well, I'm hesitant to use the word deleted.
Oh, okay.
But I have been, there are other parties who are using that word. I don't know if it just wasn't filmed or if it was deleted. But what I do know is that the camera that faces the leading coalition side and which would have caught her doing that action for this particular part of the vote wasn't working. And it's just very, very curious. And I did speak to the speaker about it. She seemed to think that there was nothing wrong with it. It's very curious. And I have spoken to other political parties who say they are also looking for that footage.
Thank you so much, Alex Patrick. You can read all about that on the News 24 site. I'm very interested. And we'll see if maybe we can get a comment from Action SA as to why their 30 councillors abstained from the vote. Because, as I say, 98 won it against 85. I've listed the parties who were yay and nay. But if Action SA had put their votes into this particular to this particular cause and said, listen, hang on, we don't support this particular pay rise. The vote wasn't necessarily that there should be no pay rise, as I understand it, then, Action SA could have swung it. They chose not to. 27 minutes now to 4. Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news. And Bali Dlamini standing by. Good afternoon to you.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The Johannesburg Emergency Service has handed over the site of a collapsed building in Omonde, Johannesburg South, to police for investigations. The handover follows the recovery of the last body of a construction worker who was trapped under the rubble. 9 construction workers died when parts of the second floor deck of the structure caved in yesterday. This morning, the city confirmed it had not approved the building plans of that structure. Officials say once the cause of the collapse have been established, the building will be demolished and the owner will be charged accordingly. Joburg Deputy Mayor Loyiso Masugu visited the site this morning.
The reality is that bylaws were not followed, and earlier on we confirmed that there are no approved building plans within the city of Joburg, so there was no compliance, and the work that was being done here is actually done illegally, not in line with the laws of the city.
The Western Cape recorded a slight decrease in the murder rate in the third quarter of the current financial year. This is contained in crime statistics recorded between October and December 2025. The province recorded 1,157 murders during this period, down by 41 cases when compared to the same period last year. Cape Town still remains the epicenter of the killings, responsible for more than 80% of all murders in the Western Cape. Carlo Peterson has more.
Sexual offences in the Western Cape have increased by 2.9%, with 2,014 cases reported across the province. Rape cases rose to 1,370, up by 17 cases compared to the same period last year. While murder decreased, Western Cape Provincial Commissioner Tembisile Patakile says illegal firearms are a big problem.
Of much concern is the prevalence of serious violent crimes that are driven by the availability of illegal firearms and ammunition. Also worth registering as a concern is the involvement of the youth in criminal activities.
Property-related crime in the province saw a significant downturn, with offences dropping by 11.1%. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News at the provincial SAPS headquarters in Greenpoint.
And government has unveiled 2 new statues of former President Nelson Mandela and struggle stalwart Oliver Tambo in Durban. One statue had been installed along the Durban North Beach front, while the other stands at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. Around 22 million rand was spent on the project, with the eThekwini municipality saying this was the most cost-effective option available. After months of being covered, President Cyril Ramaphosa officially unveiled the statues today. Alfara Mushwana reports.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says the 2 newly unveiled statues are expected to significantly boost tourism in Durban.
The challenge is to market these statues not only as tourist attractions but as a part of the story of our struggle for freedom.
He adds that the decision to place the statues in Durban carries special significance.
It was also in this city that Madiba made the iconic call for the people of this province to end the violence that had cost so many lives. And it was in this city, in July 1991, that Oliver Tambo handed over the presidency of the African National Congress to Nelson Mandela.
Ramaphosa adds that the installation of the two new statues are also aimed at preserving South Africa's history. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 25 and 26 degrees.
In the traffic in Bedfordview, there's been a crash on the N3 North, causing heavy delays around the Galulis interchange. And leaving Sandton, there's traffic pressure on the M1 North just before the Batlu interchange.
The top story in EWN, the Johannesburg Emergency Service has handed over the site of a collapsed building in Omonde to police for investigations.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
So your investigation is done on the SAPS officers, like Wally Rode, yes, who's one of them?
Yes.
Will you be telling the public what the outcome of that investigation has been and whether or not the actions of Wally Rode were legal?
What we've done as IPID, we've sent through the recommendations to SAPS, who is the employer, asking them to institute disciplinary action against their members because we felt that there was a case to answer.
When did you send the recommendation to the SAPS that they must take disciplinary action against their members?
It was sent last year.
When last year?
The date evades me for now, but it was sent last year.
Lizzie, shipping, IPID spokesperson.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries, world-class team of 1,111 with one mission, awakening your potential. Choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, public management, skills academy, and digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't, can you afford to enroll? It's, can you afford not to? Enroll now. Regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
Kick off to glory with Hollywood Bids and Aziz Shege be in the game. Go full speed ahead with the epic competition. You stand to win a share of 4 million rand in cash and prizes, including an all-new Toyota Corolla Cross. Bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture or fixtures online or at your nearest branch. Live life in the fast lane. Bet now for your chance to score. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Let's hear from Chantal and Mel, owners of Jelly Body and Nail Studio, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
We were with our previous insurer for about 4 years, and when we decided to switch, it was actually a flawless process. It definitely pays to switch.
For beauty salons, convenience stores, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
702. WhatsApp John on 072 702 1702.
Yeah, John. I'm not surprised at the Action SA abstaining. Remember, they voted in favour of the VAT increase a few months ago, and I hope the voters remember that when it time to go to the polls. Action SA are neither here nor there. They seem to be making mistakes along the way.
John, this is Wayne. You know, I haven't listened to this radio station in months, purely because everything it says is anti-ANC. But yeah, so you must also realize that the listeners do have the power of boycotting products, boycotting the people that are advertising, which I do strongly. It's just disgusting that 702 is always anti-ANC. But remember that we do know that it is pro-DA.
Yeah, thanks for those different points of view around the particular voting patterns that emerged at the city of Johannesburg, where they voted on salary increases. The quantum of those salary increases was at issue, as I understand it, that there is a top level that is set, and the councillors, by a majority of 10, voted to actually go for the top level. It's 18 minutes now to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kelly Mganga, very good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, John. And Kaizer Chiefs will look to bounce back from consecutive Betway Premiership losses when they travel to Richards Bay this evening. The Glamour Boys have lost their last 3 in all competitions, and Cedric Kaze has discussed their desire to end that run, with the team still reeling from their Soweto Derby humiliation.
Now we have a very, very big debt, and for our fans, the only way to redeem ourselves is to pick up points in the next games, is to go there and show that it's what happened today was an accident, even it was a derby, and it shouldn't have arrived. But the only way is to keep our heads up, work very hard, and go on the next games and try to pick up as much points as we can.
Aidan Markram says the team is fully focused heading into their T20 World Cup semi-final against New Zealand tomorrow. South Africa are the only unbeaten team left in the tournament, which has now reached the business end. And going into their clash against the Black Caps, the Proteas have an unbeaten 5-0 record against them in T20 World Cups.
I wish cricket was that easy. Quality team, New Zealand. They've proved that over many years now, and we had a good run out against them in the group stages. But yeah, both teams have played a lot of cricket since then, and it's a completely fresh start tomorrow, and it being a semi-final, which is exciting as well. So I don't think it's as straightforward as just being able to repeat that again. A lot of variables in this game, but yeah, the boys are very excited for the opportunity to play in a semi-final against a good team like New Zealand, and we'll try to bring our best game to the front again.
Rassie Erasmus says the Springboks will continue building squad depth in 2026 with next year's World Cup firmly in mind. The back-to-back world champions will play 11 test matches this year, including the much-anticipated 4-game greatest rivalry series against New Zealand. Ahead of the team's first alignment camp of the campaign, Erasmus has stressed the importance of long-term planning and succession.
What we are trying really hard behind the scenes, always with SA Rugby's help, always, and the franchises, is to make sure that the player depth in each position, and you can even have 6 if 5 guys go down. So you want to win the World Cup, but you can't always look, you don't have 5 or 6 deep. You must find 5 or 6 deep. So I guess that's going to be, at the end of the year, we want to say that.
And John Rahm has accused the DP World Tour of extorting players as he outlined why he's not among a group of live golfers to have signed a settlement that's enabling them to play in both organizations' tournaments. Last month, 8 players were granted releases by the DP World Tour to participate in live golf events this year, which also allowed them to retain membership and remain eligible for Ryder Cup selection. The waiver included an agreement to pay outstanding fines, the withdrawal of all pending appeals, and an acceptance to take part in stipulated DP World Tour tournaments. But Rahm says he's not going to agree to those conditions, although he suggested a compromise could be found if the number of DP tournaments needed to be played is reduced. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Coming up for 3:45, EWN Traffic with South African Airways. See just how far you can go with them and their partner networks. Book at flysaa.com. Do it now. Let's get the latest from the roads. Khumotso, what's up?
Thank you, John. We'll start in the east of Johannesburg in Bedfordview. There has been an accident on the N3 North and is causing delays just around Galuli's interchange. Leaving Sandton, there's traffic pressure on the M1 North. This is just before the Patlu interchange, with delays now backing up all the way from Oxford Road. In Pretoria CBD, the slow-moving traffic. This is in Hermanstad on Eskampa between Moot Street and Vormhagen. Also, the weather seems to be misbehaving in some parts of Johannesburg with wet weather conditions. So if you can, please slow down, increase following distance and travel safely. If you come across any traffic on your side, please send us a voice note on 072-702-1702, or you can just send us a tweet on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
In 2021, South African Airways' new journey started. And the journey has brought us here. over 15 aircraft added to our fleet, thousands of new flights scheduled every year, and 19 routes on our map to connect you to more of the world. We're proud of how far we've come, but we're not finished yet. We're still raising our standards in the air and on the ground. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
On 702.
702 Drive. It's now 13 minutes to 4. Tola Kelly, we were talking a little bit about going down rabbit holes online where you find yourself becoming a little bit obsessed. It might be something you're anxious about. I think Rufui spoke earlier, things around health, Ghetto. And I know that feeling, by the way. If I'm having to take some new medicine or whatever, I'll start Googling side effects and off you go. And I mentioned, I think the other a little while back that I think I took something for dizziness, and one of the side effects of taking the medicine to stop dizziness was dizziness. So that's a kind of a little rabbit hole moment that you may want to. Do you have any that suck you up and suck you in?
I always have two. When I get addicted to a series and it's based on a real life event, I will find every single news article. I'll find out what happened to the family. Did they ever discover why did this happen? And anytime there's like a really high profile unsolved murder mystery,
yes,
I want to hear from everybody. I want to listen to the podcast. I want to listen to the articles. I want to read everything. Because for me, it's so fascinating to know when that switch happens. Because all of us have like that little thing like, I want to kill someone, but we never do. So what happens when you actually do that? And do the people around you notice? What are the signs? That's why Wendy Williams was always scared of like the killer. So I'm always aware of the killer wherever I go.
You can kill someone.
Okay. All right. So rabbit holes that you disappear down, please give me a call on that on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. Still to come on the show between 4 o'clock and 5. We're going to spend extended time with football legend Benni McCarthy. He has just published his autobiography entitled simply Benni, and he's going to be with us for that full hour. Looking forward to the conversation. You may want to drop us a question. If you do so on 072 702 1702.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Well, I think it's fair to say that all corruption is massively destructive. On the one hand, it's the loss of public money. On the other hand, I'm going to need 4 hands for this. So let me say number 2, it means that essential services that need to be provided to people simply aren't. But I think there's a third element to it that I'm really struck by, and that is when people are involved in concocting all these schemes. The money we have paid for their working hours, but also for their bandwidth, in other words, their focus on the task at hand, is completely fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Because these schemes often take hours to concoct, lots of meetings held away from the buildings where people work. We are seeing that in absolute truckloads at the Madlanga Commission. That money goes to waste as well, as do all the opportunities that have been lost because people are simply not doing their work. Once again, we have more people appearing in court, this time from the National Department of Health. Director General in that department, Sandile Buthelezi, CFO, Chief Financial Officer Phineas Mamokhale, and the Deputy Director General Percy Mahlati appeared in the Pretoria Specialized Commercial Crimes Court on Monday morning. What this has to do with, it would seem from reports, is that they're accused of using money that comes from the Global Fund. Now, the Global Fund, of course, is a crucial entity that backs up South Africa's efforts in particular areas of ill health. HIV/AIDS, I know, is one of them. So if we'd add another layer of damage, reputational damage, that we cannot look after the money given to us from the Global Fund, which comes from various entities such as the Gates Foundation and various governments around the world, that's another layer of damage, the reputational damage. So What is it about the Department of Health? Because it does appear to be something of a structural problem. Professor Alex van den Heever is somebody who looks very closely at the health services in South Africa, and in particular, both their management and their funding. He's chair of the Social Security Systems Administration and Management Studies program at Wits University, and he's with us on 702 Drive. Prof, thanks very much for your time. Is health particularly prone to this kind of stuff, or do we notice it more because the consequences, given that this is meant to deal with people who are ill, appear to be so much more grave?
Well, I think that what we're seeing in health is something that we see across the board, and it's largely because there's the sort of the structural problems in the system allow for the easy capture of procurement systems. And so there's a cavalier attitude toward rules and requirements and the protection of public funds. But this particular instance has another few dimensions to it, which I find quite concerning.
Yes.
Because what it appears is that although this was the diversion of R1 million or so from the global fund, the question is, what was it used for? Well, it was used to procure the services of somebody to investigate an investigator of potential improper conduct in the Northwest province, amounting to 1.2 billion rand. So somebody had basically, an individual in Khaki had basically produced this report in 2020, implicating one of the other Deputy Director Generals in the National Department of Health, who was then administrator of the Northwest province, in potential improper, irregular conduct in procurement of 1.2 billion rands worth of services. And that investigator was then, in 2003, suspended, and this was a process to now a disciplinary process against that individual in which they diverted funds for an investigator to now look into this other investigator, and the investigator that was procured with the Global Fund money, we had a relationship with Benni McCarthy, who was one of the Deputy Director Generals who's been arrested and taken to court. So it looks like there is a whole a sort of conspiracy to basically shut down a whistleblower. That's a way of saying it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very striking because as I understand it, and the author of the story, or one of the co-authors from News 24, Zara Karim, was talking earlier, working alongside Alex Mitchley, by the way, but was talking earlier on Newsroom Africa. And she was saying that these kinds of abuses were highlighted by the Auditor General a number of years ago. What this seems to suggest, in addition to the point you've just made, Prof, is that the National Department of Health is constantly advised of this kind of wrongdoing within its ranks, and appears not to take any interest. I think, in fact, the minister said he was unclear as to why the arrests had taken place.
Well, I can't believe that. I mean, this was quite clearly a big issue, and I doubt that this would have happened without his knowledge. The report itself would most certainly have been discussed at the highest levels in the department. That's the Northwest report.
Yes.
And what's important is that there was actually a court case in which the Minister of Health in 2023 was instructed, that was Pachle, to actually take action on that report. And he failed to do anything. That report, what you would do with an investigative report like that, if it made a particular finding, is you would refer it now for formal investigation by either the SIU or the Hawks. You wouldn't do nothing. So even if you didn't like the report, you would refer it. You don't have the knowledge or the competence to basically say, I refuse to accept this report. You should actually take formal action. The fact that they did nothing and then targeted the drafter, raises all sorts of questions about what's going on.
I mean, if the person who had drafted the Northwest investigation and had acted as a whistleblower was to be investigated themselves, one would assume there are A, departmental processes, and B, there are departmental resources to actually do this. This would seem that this was money for an informal process to produce material with which you could tarnish that person's name with no intention at all of actually doing it by the book in terms of HR.
Yeah, so from Azara's report in News 24 and Alex Mitchley, they had indicated that the report itself was amateurish, that was produced by this person, and the person procuring the report had a personal relationship with the person who was procured. So it looks like, it was a setup. That's what it would look very much like, aside from the fact that it required irregular procurement processes in order to get this set up to come into existence. But yes, a normal internal disciplinary process should have independent arbiters, and if there were to be any investigators to take a matter forward. It doesn't appear to have been the case here. So it really doesn't smell right. All the way through, it doesn't smell right. And at the end of the day, we now have round about 4 Deputy Director Generals in the National Department of Health with a question over them.
Yes.
And the 5th being the Director General himself. 4 being, from Digital Vibes, Dr. Anban Pillay, still in the National Department of Health, despite his SIU investigation and implicating him in manipulating a tender in that process, for which he was demoted for a year and then reappointed back at the DDG level. You have Jeanette Hunter, who's been implicated in the Nkaki report, and you've got 2 additional Deputy Director Generals arrested in this matter, and you have the Director General. So altogether, it doesn't look right.
Thank you so much, Professor Alex van den Heever. He joins us from the Wits School of Governance. This is 702 Drive.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
We can get excited about R1 trillion spent on infrastructure projects, but often citizens shake their heads and wonder if every rand and cent will get to where it is intended.
In many cases, it does not, because the government often pays too much. Either the final price will be much higher than the initial project cost, or there will be other issues in the management of the contract which lead to escalating costs and delayed service delivery. There is bigger fiscal leakage happening because of maladministration and poor project management.
Chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, Songezo Zibi.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Whether you love watching great films or dream of making them, the Joburg Film Festival, in partnership with MultiChoice Group, a Canal Plus company, from the 3rd to the 8th of March, has something for you. Experience powerful local and international cinema on the big screen and tap into the JBX Talks, where the people shaping film unpack the craft, the business, and the future of storytelling. It's more than a festival. It's a front row seat to the film world. Book your tickets now at joburgfilmfestival.co.za.
We're on the ground and in the air with Thulani Sijo, founder of Take a Pic Drones. What's the flight plan for your connectivity?
The need for stable network connectivity is an absolute must in my field.
And with Telkom Business Fiber and Flexon, Thulani uploads high-res tower inspections and navigates seamlessly on the go. Get Stream Connect Fiber from 399 Rand per month and Flexon 4 Pro from 219 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Mzansi Powerball and Powerball Plus are making it rain lots of cash this March with a big 102 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday. Don't delay. Play Powerball for an estimated 68 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 34 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business.
possible begins here. This is EWN.
McPherson calls for stricter regulation of the construction sector, and Tabo Bester suffers another legal blow. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Public Works Minister Dean McPherson is calling for stricter regulation of the construction sector. This as the search continues for owners of a construction company that was working on a collapsed building in Omonde, south of Joburg. 9 people died in the incident, while 3 others are receiving treatment for serious injuries in hospital. McPherson addressed members of the media at the site of the tragedy a short while ago. He says it's time to deeply introspect on how the built environment is regulated. His comments echo those of Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi, who believes the deadly incident could have been avoided. Jabuli Limbata reports.
The Premier says the 2-story building that caved in yesterday was built on a public road and near an electricity power line and should have been noticed for its incorrect positioning. He addressed the media earlier today after all 3 bodies of the last construction workers were retrieved. Yesterday, a slab of the 2nd floor caved in, killing 6 workers immediately. Lesufi has admitted that incidents of this nature should not be happening because there are inspectors within the construction sector responsible for ensuring compliance. He also raised concern that the building was near completion, yet there were no building plans approved by the city.
It hurts me mostly because these are mistakes that we should not tolerate, especially when, as I said, where the economic hub, there's so many buildings that are going up now. So we can't still make this kind of mistakes. But I don't know the reasons why it collapsed.
Lesufi says if there was an oversight, officials will be held accountable. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News, Omonde.
Convicted rapist and murderer Tabo Bester has suffered yet another legal blow. Bester returned to court today seeking to have the decision to transfer him to the country's only super maximum security prison overturned. This was his second attempt to secure a transfer out of Ebongweni in Kokstad. His first bid was struck off the roll. His legal team continued to argue that his transfer was unjustified and it infringes on his right to properly prepare for his upcoming trial. Bester and his co-accused are expected back in court later this month in connection with his escape from the Mangaung Correctional Facility in 2022. Dimakatso Leshoro reports.
Bester's lawyers have maintained that they are unable to adequately prepare for the upcoming trial while he remains at Ebongweni. They argue that the high travel costs, consultation challenges and other factors make the transfer unfair and unreasonable. However, Judge Holland Muta rejected the arguments, saying Bester's rights are not absolute and that Correctional Services does not need to provide further details for the transfer if it is based on security risks. Holland Muta also criticized Bester's legal team for what he described as sloppy work after they failed to file the notice of motion for this urgent application, adding that there was no urgency in the matter. Each party will pay their own costs. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News, Pretoria High Court.
Deputy National Police Commissioner Tibelo Musikidi says the decision to disband the political killings task team was done almost haphazardly. Musikidi also says she was sidelined by her fellow Deputy National Commissioner Shedrick Sibiya about that decision. The decision to disband the task team was taken on New Year's Eve in 2024 by Minister on special leave now, Senzo Mchunu. Musikidi has been giving evidence before Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is probing allegations of police corruption. Babalondenze has more.
Lieutenant General Tebelo Musikidi was scheduled to testify last year, but had to focus her attention on the G20 Leaders Summit, which was being hosted in Johannesburg. Today she appeared and was questioned about her knowledge of the decision to disband the PKTT by Minister Senzo Mchunu. She told the committee that she's acted in the position of National Commissioner 11 times, including when Mchunu issued his directive.
This also happened during the 2024-2025, where the National Commissioner was on leave on the 31st of December 2024.
She told the committee that the directive had caught her off guard and was already leaked to the media.
I became confused I was also surprised and I questioned the authenticity of the directive as I could not believe the content and precisely because of the tone.
Musikiti's evidence continues with more questions from members of parliament. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And the International Committee of the Red Cross says millions of people in Somalia are at risk of famine. The country has been battling acute food insecurity as a prolonged drought devastates livelihoods. 2 consecutive failed rainy seasons have caused catastrophic levels of hunger and led to the displacement of many people. The ICRC says the situation is expected to become desperate should the rains not come soon. While gold is trading at $5,258.97 an ounce, the rand is at 16.44 to the dollar, 21.87 to the pound, 19.07 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $77.74 a barrel.
In the traffic in Bedfordview, there's been a crash on the N3 North and it's causing heavy delays just after the Giluli's interchange. And leaving Sandton, there's traffic pressure on the M1 North just before the Betlu interchange all the way from Oxford Road.
In your sport, Kaizer Chiefs aiming to restore pride as they take on Richards Bay in the Bedway Premiership. Rassie Erasmus says the Springboks will prioritise squad depth in 2026. And John Rahm accuses the DP World Tour of extorting players with Live Golf deal.
A cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 15 degrees, peaking at 24. Pretoria 17 and 25, and Vereeniging 18 and a high of 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, Public Works Minister Dean McPherson is calling for stricter regulation of the construction sector following the collapse of a building in Omonde.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 4. Welcome to the show. We've got something really special lined up for you over the next hour. Just to say though, after 5, we're going to go back to that building collapse in Omondi. 9 people dead as a result of that tragedy. What can be done to prevent this happening again? What protocols ought to be followed when you put up a building? Sounds basic, but perhaps it isn't. Professor Richard Walls joined us for that from Stellenbosch University. And then big cricket match tomorrow. Proteas play New Zealand in the T20 World Cup semi-final. First ball bowled at 3 o'clock. That's why we're going to preview it today. Well in time for the start of the game. Rassie van der Dussen, former Proteas cricketer, is going to be our guest at about 20 minutes past 5. In a moment, we're going to be talking to South African football legend Benni McCarthy. A new book just released. I've just read it. Benni, written with the football writer Mark Gleeson, and a foreword by Jose Mourinho. Benni McCarthy with us all the way until 5. Stay with us for that.
EWN Traffic.
First though, some of you are trying to get home or thinking about how to get home and which roads to avoid. EWN Traffic with South African Airways. Get all-inclusive fares now. Your seat, your meal and your baggage. It's all in. Book at flysaa.com. Khomotso Munyai with the details.
Thank you, John. The east is keeping us very busy. We'll start in Bedfordview. That accident on the N3 North is now causing about a 30-minute delay. This is around the Giluli's interchange. As an alternative, you may consider the R24 towards the OR Tambo and then join the highway further up. Or if you're headed towards Sandton or Pretoria, maybe consider using the N12 East and then linking back via the R21. If you're also leaving Sandton, remember there's slow-moving traffic on the M1 North just before the Betlu interchange. And in Pretoria, there's slow-moving traffic on Eskempatlele between Moot Street and Vormhagen. If you come across any other traffic, please do send us a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702 or send us a tweet on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
In 2021, South African Airways' new journey started. And the journey has brought us here. Over 15 aircraft added to our fleet. Thousands of new flights scheduled every year. and 19 routes on our map to connect you to more of the world. We're proud of how far we've come, but we're not finished yet. We're still raising our standards in the air and on the ground. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Gear up for glorious Grand Slam success with Hollywood Bets. Take your tennis passion to new heights and feel every stroke, rally and match point as the drama unfolds at the Australian Open, Roland Garros, Wimbledon and US Open. The biggest stages in tennis have been set as the world's best go head-to-head for ultimate bragging rights. Bet now and make every moment count.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
For Mamotsatsi and Kensani of Design News, a beautiful room starts with a rock-solid connection. Tell us what was slowing down your growth.
It would have to be slow network coverage.
Now, Telkom Business Fiber lets the team process large renders while the landline keeps supplier calls coming in.
Get Call Light Fiber from 655 Rand per month and unlimited VoIP 1 from 99 Rand per month. Call 10213 or check telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra presents an evening of beautiful music as Conrad van Alphen conducts the second concert of the season, bringing to the podium a delightful mix of Fauré, Chopin and Beethoven. Award-winning virtuoso pianist Ludmil Angelov takes center stage with two magnificent pieces at the Linda Auditorium at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, the 5th of March. Tickets are available on Quicket. Visit jpo.co.za for more info.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, my next guest on 702 Drive in a glittering football career that has taken him from the Cape Flats to the many, many Colosseums of the very greatest clubs in Europe has produced a number of magnificent moments in his career. Here's one.
Carlos Alberto, teenager, the lovely ball back to Alenichev, who spins and finds Benni McCarthy, and Porto are level. Beautiful equaliser. Deco onto Nuno Valente. High cross towards Benni McCarthy, and that is a brilliant goal from the South African. It's Porto 2, Manchester United 1, and Porto can celebrate a fine performance and an excellent result.
25th of February 2004 in the Estadio do Dragão, Benni McCarthy, 2 goals to defeat Manchester United on the way to helping Porto win the UEFA Champions League. Benni McCarthy, welcome to 702 Drive and thanks for giving us your time as we enjoy the publication of your book, Benni. I want to ask you this question. I looked at the video of those 2 goals you scored. The first was a wonderful turn and a shot hit on the bounce. Second one, a towering header. And after the second one, you tear into the corner and these fans are there for you. For those of us, and that's virtually everyone, who will never know what that feels like, tell us what that feels like.
Hey, John. First of all, thanks for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to share this platform and the stage with you. Really appreciate being on the show. And yeah, like as you were talking and I was listening to the video, I could play the image of that game straight in my head. And I remembered every inch from when the ball gets played to Alenichev and he turns and then he just crossed the ball and I kind of checked to the near post and then volleyed it in. Just the euphoria of those Porto fans, because first of all, we had no right to beat Man United or to be on level terms with them. So for the fact that we did that and playing so convincingly beautiful football, it was incredible. And when I scored that header, I think just every inch fiber in your body just, it makes your hair stands up. And I still remember after heading in it, I kind of ran to the corner flag and I just kind of just stood and opened my hands like that. So teammates, I knew that my teammates were going to come jump on top of me, but just seeing the faces, the joy and the proud moment on the faces of those Portuguese, because we are modest and a humble football club.
Yes.
That's teaching Manchester United a lesson in the Champions League, was just, oh my God, the best experience that any footballer can experience.
It's a lot of love out there.
Oh my God, yeah. and I think till today, when I go to Porto, that's the biggest thing that people always compliment me. Benny, thank you for that header you scored against Man United. I was in the stadium, and when you came, oh my God, it's just epic moments.
We may well have listeners out there who could have been there, given how many South Africans have Portuguese ties. I want to go back right to the very beginning of the book, and I want to talk about Mummy's Boy, because you say in your book, everybody remembers me as a bit of a mummy's boy. When I was young, I was always hanging on to her around the kitchen, talking about your mom, Dora. I was her tail. I loved washing the dishes and doing little chores, and she taught me to iron and how to fold clothes. Tell us a little bit about that kid, because clearly you changed a lot. I mean, I'm sure you still wash dishes and iron and fold clothes, but a lot had to happen between Mummy's Boy and the moment we've just played in the Dragao.
Yes, no, listen, I'm not ashamed.
Yes.
I'm not ashamed of those moments, because I think it was those moments that shaped me. It taught me discipline, and it taught me to kind of be cautious about everybody else around you, how to be clean, how to, one day when you have a house of your own, a family of your own, then these are the kind of examples that you want to set. So I kind of gone by that until today. I imply that into my daily life. Like everywhere, people think now, my friends, and think that I've got HDH or HDHD. What's?
Oh, right. You can't pay attention for too long.
Yes. And I've got this obsession with folding clothes and so, and I'm like, no, that's just how I was brought up. Like my mom used to always say to me, you clean after yourself, you wash the dishes, and so I think it's a good thing, and it's a good thing. And if you are a man,
yes,
and it's a nice trait to have that you have those kind of responsibility in your household.
Did that shape you as a footballer? I mean, were you the guy who, when training was finished, put 10 balls, maybe got an assistant coach to collect them behind the goal, and you're not landing the ball from a particular angle that you're shooting? Maybe there's a free kick you want to perfect. Were you the guy there when someone else is flicking the lights to say, sorry, can we go home?
Yes, that's very much true. So I used to be obsessive, wanting to repeat things to become better. So after trainings, I would always get a lot of footballs, and I'd ask one of the young goalkeepers or the reserve goalkeeper to stay behind so I can just work on some finishing stuff or things that I wanted to improve as a striker. So and I would always line balls up perfectly, and I would do like little runs, exercises, and then hit the ball, and then just trying to perfect my goal scoring touch. And it was just more about just being accurate, hitting the target. And if I take 10 shots, at least if only one shot is allowed to go past the post or over the goal, but everyone has to be on target. And I think that's how you you work as well on your craft. And then in the match day, it's very seldom that you see me miss the target, or it's either the goalkeeper saves it or the ball goes in the back of the net. But it's never, he killed a
fan. Knocked somebody's popcorn out.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what it also kind of taught me, like just being a bit more precise and doing extra, like washing the dishes, folding the clothes, ironing. If somebody asks you to iron the shirt or they're in a hurry, So it taught me a little bit of patience, and then I just kind of applied it into my football, like doing a little bit of extra.
Benny, what the book makes clear is that life has presented you with many challenges, many bumps on the road. We'll talk about the football-related ones a little bit later, but very early in the book you talk about how, because you lived in an area where there was a lot of gang activity, first of all you talk about a friend of yours getting killed. Yep. You were out playing football, you moved to what you thought was a safe space, and your dear friend Reginald Moore lost his life. And you talk a little bit later as well about how you really, as a group of kids from the flats, gave a Hellenic team a run for their money, and then when you went to play there, they said, listen, we don't want gangster kids around. So maybe both of those things, that would have shaped you as well, but I would have thought sometimes that would have been tough.
Yeah, of course, it is very tough, especially if you're young. Mm-hmm. You look at the world a little bit different from more matured, older people, or people from more established suburbs and backgrounds, So we come from where nobody gives you a chance. So we played on the streets. We don't have fancy bags or fancy boots. We got with whatever second-hand boots somebody else don't want, and they give you a pair. Well, we welcome those, So I was from that world. So when you then get an opportunity to play at the higher level, to move away from where we grew up playing to a higher and a better level, and then from that level, the platform is almost there for you to then go out and make it into the professional setup. So, but because we weren't, it wasn't our fault that we were from underprivileged. We were from the Cape Flats, and the fact that people used to throw that in our faces and make us feel that we don't belong, whether we better than them at football. But we were always kind of like, nah, they're going to steal your shoes. They're going to, so we were always looked down on that. But yeah, we were just young kids that wanted an opportunity at playing for a professional club like Hellenic, like Cape Town Spurs back in the day. But those opportunities was very rarely because, people just kind of looked, because we were from the Cape Flats, so we didn't fit the description that they wanted playing for Hellenic Football Club.
Their loss,
exactly.
I want to ask you this, and we're going to jump around a little bit in time because I want to cover the full range of the book. One of the things that comes through is that you've had some great managers, and the fact that Jose Mourinho, legend that he is, writes the forward to your book, and he speaks very, very highly of you indeed. But there have been some other people who've really undermined what you were trying to achieve, and you name them, so I'm going to mention that some of them as well. Philippe Trouzier, your coach at Celta Vigo, was difficult. Sergio Dos Santos at Santos early in your career. Were you surprised at that? I mean, did you expect that managers would have your back, would be in your corner? And how difficult was it to accept, I'm playing at a club where the boss is not my guy. In fact, he doesn't even want me there.
I think from my upbringing, I wasn't surprised, you know, because I was treated that way by far lesser people than that.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I didn't want to play football because I wanted everybody to like me, to love me. They must just respect, what I do and appreciate that, and that's all. I didn't, so I kind of went with that mentality, with that mindset. Of course, it does hurt when people don't give you, expect a little bit of love for what you're doing, the sacrifices that you make, and that you get appreciated for it. And when you don't get it, it started very young for me, and I think when my first professional outfit, and then I got to play in the PSL, and that was with Cape Town Spurs, and I had a very tough mentor like Sergio dos Santos. Listen, I think that was his way of making you tough and preparing you for the world. You know, it was preparing you for the world, because the world, it's not all roses out there. So you're going to have moments where, you know, you have to go against it. So the manager doesn't always want to pat you on the back. And I think he taught me a little bit that from a young age, where I get the blame for everything, you know, but I just continue to work and do my best and try and be the best that I can be. And eventually I made it. So I kind of accepted that's how it is. And then when I came into Bafana in the World Cup in 1998 with Philip Truzier, he was just a monster. He was a monster, and like I said, it was the first time I ever felt where I wanted to punch a grown-up, because I was also taught never to hit your elders, but he was that person that just made me want to be something different because of how he taunted and how he bullied me, you know, not just me, but other players. But I was the one that was on that receiving end. Benny this, Benny that, Benny. And you know what, at the time, at the moment in time, the pressure points, you get to that stage where you're just not, I'm not taking this. I'm going to do what I'm never supposed to do and just knock this clown out. But something held back. I didn't, and I'm grateful for that.
We're going to be back with Benni McCarthy shortly. We are in his company because he's just published his autobiography. It's called, very simply, Benni, with, I have to say, a great cover photo. It's 28 minutes past 4. Let's just update you on the traffic.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 451442 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Khumotso, the latest, please.
Thank you, John. We'll start in Calvin. You can expect heavy delays on the N3 South. This is towards the Galuilis interchange. In Johannesburg, there's slow-moving traffic on the M2 East from the Geldenhuys interchange heading towards the Crown interchange. And in Sandton, expect heavy delays on Catherine Street. This is from Grayston Drive. It is heading towards Sandton City Mall. If you come across any traffic on your side, please do send us a tweet on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like a man wearing his finest suit on his way to an interview. He's prepped 100 times, but he still has butterflies. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's a potential lucky break that could change someone's life. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, I mean, what does one say? You can maybe just say hue and rap. It's been a day, eh?
Or run away. John, good afternoon. The JSE All Share down 4 3/4%, down nearly 5% on the day. Basically, this is one of those days when the market realizes, oh, this is exactly how much trouble we're in. We're in an age when far more shares trade hands more quickly than ever before, and as a result, the reaction really very sharp to what's happening in the Middle East. And it's all about oil. Financials are down 3.55, industrials are down 2.69, resources are down 8% on the day, John. I mean, 8%. The sort of top 10 of the top 100 shares, there are only 6 of them. They don't have 10 because none of them have moved up. That's how strong this is. Now, just to sort of explain all of the supertanker costs in the Middle East hitting record highs today. The Straits of Hormuz, people just not going through there. Iran says it'll attack any ship that goes through there. That's 1/5 of the world's oil goes through that area, and that's what's leading to all of these problems on the day. But it's more complicated than that. Thungela in the coal space, that coal is sometimes turned into oil by Sasol. They're up 19%, 18.97% on the day. Sasol itself only up 1.83%, and Exxaro also in the coal space, they're up 1.1%. Aspen Pharmacare, they're up 0.8% on the day. Their restructuring seems to be paying off. We'll speak to their CEO on the Money Show later. Then Implats and many of the other platinum miners are down strongly. This is because there's perceived to be, firstly, weaker platinum prices, but no demand for platinum. There'll be low demand for platinum, which is primarily used in cars. So Implats is down 16%, Northam down nearly 12%, Sibanye and Valterra both down by nearly 12% as well. And then gold shares are down, financial shares are down very strongly as well. The Discovery Group reporting a big increase in profits from their various operations. Normalized earnings up 27%. Nedbank headline earnings up 2%. And ShopRite saying their sales and headline earnings both up by around 7%. In the US, obviously the Nasdaq leading the losses on futures markets. Everybody just waiting to see what's going to happen there, but we're expecting those markets to be down. And John, I heard you speak about Wilson Bailey Homes Ofcon earlier. They're down, very sharply. They're in the construction sector, down 15.5%. Their revenue's down 4% to 14 billion rand. Operating profits are down 3% there, and that's the reason for that. The gold price, $5,168.54 an ounce. Platinum, $2,117. Brent crude, much higher, John, $84.20 an ounce. Bear in mind, before the big US military build-up in the Gulf, it was around $62, so up significantly. And then the rand to the dollar, 16.51 to the euro, 19.14 to the British pound, 21.98. Stephen Recruiters, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Back with us after 5 o'clock at about 25 past that hour. 28 minutes to 5. The latest news headlines with Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Relief may soon be in sight for thousands of Johannesburg residents affected by ongoing water cuts. Johannesburg Water has entered the final commissioning stage of the new Brixton Reservoir Tower as well as pump station complex. This is a key intervention to restore stability to the embattled Combando system. As part of standard quality checks, the reservoir was temporarily drained for cleaning and compliance inspections. It will now be refilled with final water quality tests conducted before it goes fully operational. Joburg Water spokesperson Nombuso Shabalala says the added capacity will strengthen supply to high-demand suburbs.
Once final cleaning and water quality testing are concluded, the system will be fully integrated into the network. This investment will greatly improve supply stability for affected communities.
The Department of Home Affairs is in a race against time to bring a new bill to Parliament before the next local government elections. Most of the amendments sought by the Electoral Commission would see dozens of unrepresented political parties being deregistered for failing to confirm that they are still active organizations which plan to contest the elections. With expectations that the next polls will be held before the end of the year, the bill is yet to make it to Cabinet for approval. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
The proposed Electoral Matters Amendment Bill would seek to amend 3 election-related acts. Among the proposals are the mandatory deregistration of political parties that don't confirm their existence, as IEC Chairperson Masutu Mepia explains.
As we often find, there are many that just don't do and don't participate ever, and simply stop participating.
Further amendments relate to enhancing the provision related to the eligibility of parties to contest elections.
We are also amending provisions providing for the requirements for eligibility to apply for registration as a voter.
Amendments are also proposed to the timeframes for dealing with objections and to strengthen the IEC's authority to handle them. It could take at least 7 months to get a bill through both houses of Parliament once it's tabled. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And the term of the acting executive director of the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, Hlengani Bila, has been extended. Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachale says Bila will remain in that position until a permanent appointment is made. Bila has been acting in this capacity since August last year, following the departure of former Executive Director Jennifer Ntatsing. Police Ministry spokesperson Kamogelo Mogotsi says the process to appoint a new executive director, is currently underway.
This extension, which is also supported by the Portfolio Committee of Police, is intended to ensure continued stability and effective leadership within the directorate.
A cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 15 and 18 degrees and highs of between 24 and 26.
In the traffic, look out for faulty traffic lights in Edenvale at Modderfontein and Van Riebeek, as well as in Midrand at the N1 South and Olifantsfontein.
The top story in EWN this hour, Joburg Water has entered the final commissioning stage of the new Brixton Reservoir Tower as well as pump station complex.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
The US-Israel-Iran war, the United States in 2 months has attacked 2 sovereign countries. I wonder what happens in March, then April, May. I don't want to say it, but if this war continues and it starts to involve the whole region, it's not going to stop there. It wasn't Iran that started this war. Now I hear that this war was to help the women of Iran. Sounded a lot like weapons of mass destruction a couple of years ago. I think they thought that Iran was Venezuela. This is not going to end well.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
The JBX Talks at this year's Joburg Film Festival offers something truly valuable for anyone interested in the business of storytelling. Join industry leaders, creators, innovators, and storytellers as they unpack the future of film, streaming, technology, and content creation. Expect insightful panel discussions, practical masterclasses, and conversations about where the creative industry is heading, both locally and globally. Whether you're a professional, a student, or simply passionate about film, the JBX Talks provide real knowledge and real networking opportunities. Be part of the dialogue at the Joburg Film Festival. Secure your seat today by visiting joburgfilmfestival.co.za.
Different sounds, different worlds.
Different artistic expressions, music, art, and fashion collide. Are you coming? Let's go to the place where the beat drops, the fashion pops, and the art rocks.
We're talking Focalistic, Dali Wonga, Mafigi Zolo, Kurt Darren, Matera Doughboy, Zoe Mujija, Claire Johnston from Mango Groove, the Tswani Gospel Choir, and more. Mahindra Fusion Fest, Saturday 7th March, Sunbet Arena. Tickets on Ticketmaster now. See you there.
Did you know that you have the power to ensure your daughter is fully protected from cervical cancer when she grows up? Yes, protecting a daughter from cervical cancer is absolutely possible. And all that you need to do is ensure that your daughter gets the HPV vaccine at the age of 9. The HPV vaccine gives your daughter the best possible protection against cervical cancer and can prevent her from becoming part of the statistics. This message is brought to you by the Department of Health.
Mzansi, Powerball and Powerball Plus are making it rain lots of cash this March, with a big 102 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday. Don't delay. Play Powerball for an estimated 68 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 34 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Itube is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
We are still in the company of Benni McCarthy, celebrating and talking about his autobiography just published called Benni. Back with him in a moment. I did want to mention to you, by the way, you can watch us on YouTube. On our YouTube channel, just go there, type in John Perlman 702 Afternoon Drive, and yeah, normally you just get to look at me and the rest of the team. Benni McCarthy is in the house with us here on 702 Drive. Other sport going on at the moment, though. Let's get a quick update on all of that with Tolakele Mganga.
EWN Sport.
Thanks so much, John. And Aiden Markram will hope to lead the way once again with the bat for the Proteas, where they take on New Zealand in a T20 World Cup semi-final tomorrow. The captain is South Africa's highest run scorer in the tournament with 268. And in their group stage win over the Black Caps, he scored an unbeaten 86 off 44 balls.
You as the captain always want to get the team over the line, and maybe because of that you don't put all your focus into actually just watching the ball and reacting and playing. But a little bit I've learned now from this World Cup and the more recent months is to make a proper effort to separate the two, and if you do your job as a batter for the team, ultimately it will contribute hopefully in a winning cause, and that's where I try to keep the focus.
Liverpool travel to Molineux tonight to take on Wolves in a crucial Premier League encounter. That's just days before the two sides meet again in the FA Cup fifth round. The Reds are searching for a win that will keep the UEFA Champions League qualification campaign on track.
It's a bit new, but the second time you can prepare your team even better, especially if the team does the same and the team you face does the same again. But now being in the Premier League, we played them already once. You see a lot of games of them because they play against teams that we are facing as well. You know each other that well that I don't see that much difference between playing each other twice in 3 days or that there's a longer period in between.
And Al Ahly will appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport against a FIFA ruling that ordered them to pay former coach Jose Rivero $588,000 in compensation. That's after sacking him last year. The decision by FIFA's Players Statute Chamber grants the former Orlando Pirates coach full compensation for his contract, including a 3-month penalty clause stipulated in his deal. During his 94-day tenure with the Egyptian club, the Spaniard took charge of 7 matches in the Domestic League and Club World Cup, winning 1, suffering 2 defeats and securing 4 draws. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Back with our interview in a moment, but EWN Traffic with South African Airways. All-inclusive fares mean all-inclusive. What you see is what you pay. Book at flysaa.com. Do it now. Kumotso, what you got?
We'll start in Oak Dean, John. There's been a crash on the N12 West causing bumper-to-bumper traffic between Komaro Street and Kleep Refuge Drive, so please approach that road with caution. In Kelvin, expect heavy delays on the N3 South from the Batlu interchange towards Galuli's interchange. And in Johannesburg, look out for those peak time delays on the M1 South from Killarney Bains to the Crown interchange, as well as on the M2 East from the Gelden Heath interchange heading towards the Crown interchange. If you come across any traffic, please do send us a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702 or send us a tweet on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
In 2021, South African Airways' new journey started. And the journey has brought us here. Over 15 aircraft added to our fleet. Thousands of new flights scheduled every year. And 19 routes on our map to connect you to more of the world. We're proud of how far we've come, but we're not finished yet. We're still raising our standards in the air and on the ground. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, we're with Benni McCarthy, and Eldon responds and says, I believe that Benni McCarthy as a footballer was truly gifted and he would have been great in any generation. As such was his genius and guile as a top striker during his career. I give it up to him and other South African greats in my memoir. Send us the details of that, Eldon. We'll make sure Benni gets to see a copy of that. Benni, welcome back. You, in addition to football, also got a little bit involved in this. For some people, Benni, you will always be in the 18 area. But I want to ask you this. You've got 5 kids who know that you were a football great. But Mina, Mia, Allegra, Lima, and Leo, have they watched this video? And if so, what do they say? Because I'm sure they've got, like all kids do, the sharpest of musical taste. What do your kids say about Benni the rapper?
When they Google it, I think they are stunned to see me there, because they don't look at me like that in any way, shape or form. All they thought about me was like, yeah, my dad used to kick a football around and he was kind of okay.
Yes.
So when people say, oh, your dad's like musician, he did a song and it was like a big hit, And they were like, not a chance in hell. So they Google and like, oh my God, Dad, you on Google? You actually, yeah. So they stunned and I was pretty.
Are they impressed?
Not sure if they're impressed, but more just stunned to see that I had the guts to even do something like that outside football, But what an amazing experience for me.
Yeah.
Working with TKZ, when they approached me at first, I was like, hell no, never going to happen.
Yes.
But after the success, wow, best thing I've done outside football, and one of the most, what it generated and what it became. It almost became like a national anthem.
Yes.
And just a joyful, and like used to see people having tough times in their lives, but the minute they listen to these kind of music, that you see joy, you see peace, and you forget about all your struggles that you've got if you get home. So I think that was what gave me the biggest joy about making this song with TKZ.
Yeah. And people continuing to enjoy it, as we just have. Behind you couldn't see my teammates, but they were swinging and singing along. Question from Kiki. He asks, at which club did you most enjoy your football? Obviously, there have been so many, beginning with 7 Stars. You may want to go all the way back to Hanover Park when you were a kid. But I think professional career, is there a golden patch for you?
I think Porto has to be the most enjoyable because it was the most successful.
Mm-hmm.
And it was where I was at one with the club, at one with the fans. And I felt like I was in my own home.
Yes.
I felt like I was in South Africa, where I know my surroundings. I'm familiar with everything and everyone loves you. That's what I felt when I was at Porto. And on the football pitch, we were super, super, super successful. We just had this crazy belief. And me, when I used to just put on that Porto shirt, it was like I transform. I become someone else. And on that field, it's wow. It was the best time in my career, and the best time I felt as a player, as someone that loves the sport. Like, wow, playing for Porto, and that time, it was as good as when you played carefree.
Yes.
When it was all just for fun.
Again.
When you were a kid, and all you want to do is kick that ball and play with your mates and be better than them and score so many goals, wherever we can, like not a care in the world. You go home, and whatever problems you have, your family have, you don't know about it because you're too young to experience that. So all you want to do is be happy and play football. That's what I kind of felt like when I played at Porto. It took me back to being that kid again.
Yeah, and making it difficult for your older brother Jerome and his friends when they saw this cocky but very skillful younger brother, giving them a hard time. Some of our listeners are communicating by voice note. Let's hear.
Hello, John. Hello, Benny. What a nice surprise today, John. You're really spoiling us today. Would like to know from Benny. I know there was times in his career when he declined invitations to come and play for Bafana Bafana. In terms of his record, which still stands, so by the way, for so many years after retirement, and if there's any regrets, would really like to get his point of view. And to Benny, away Masakent, Kevin Strubensville.
1 for Bantwana, Halagasha. Oh, Benny, what a legend! What a legend! I'm one of those that enjoyed Benni McCarthy's time and the music. We are super proud of you, Benny. Charlotte in Rudderport.
Hi, John. How's it, Benny? Yeah, listen, I think Benny's the
He is the best striker that South Africa has ever produced. There's no one that could match Benny at his peak. No one currently. So yeah, big ups Benny. Yeah, thanks for representing. Thanks Benny.
So, Benny, in the book, let's go to that first question. The many winding twists and turns, and that was a road with a lot of potholes as well in your relationship with Safa. And you go into it in a lot of detail, and you certainly highlight areas where you feel you were badly treated, but you also highlight the fact that football was not organized around those clashes the way it is now, where you had international windows and so on. But let me give it to you. I mean, how do you look back on that? Because obviously, I'm not doing it justice. I'm just saying there's plenty about it in the book.
Very sad because I think it's the proudest moment for any kid when you grew up in a country, one day to be good at something and represent that country to the best and of your abilities. And want to put that country on the map. And for me, football gave me that platform. So I was honored and privileged. I represented South Africa at under 20 levels, under 23 levels, and then graduated to the first team. So, it was massive. It was massive for me. But yeah, the federation was just very difficult people. And I felt there was a lot of selfish people that was at Safa back in the days, because people that just kind of looked out for themselves and to fill their own pockets instead of looking out for the players and the best interests of the players. Because yes, I know we don't come and play for you. You come to play for your country because you want to be financially secured. We don't do that. That you do at your club, but you're also not coming to play for your national team, for your country, and not get rewarded, especially because we knew what there was, what the stakes was, what we were getting when we qualify for the World Cup, when you qualify for AFCON. There's incentives there. And every single time it was changing, I was fine with it. So I could have just left it. I could have just washed my hands and said, listen, I don't care what happens. What they want to give us, they can give us. It's fine, because the contract I had secured playing for my club, I was well sought after. I didn't have to worry, but I knew what some players, when they were playing at local clubs for smaller teams, I don't want to disrespect teams or name names, but they weren't playing for the big teams where they were earning decent money. When they come to the national team, that was their opportunity to now build something and then earn money away from playing for your club. And I saw what was happening, and every time when you find, because you want justice, you want equality, and people mustn't look, Benny, because Benny plays in Spain, or Benny plays at Porto, Benny plays in England, he must get that amount. And then Jabu, who plays for
a smaller club here,
for Super Sports, for example, or for Wits, or for Swallows. But so Jabu is local, so we play in the same team, we wear the same kit, we train the same way, but when it comes to Benny getting 100 and then Jabu gets 20, why must it be like that? You understand? So I didn't want divide, and so that was always my quarrel, my quarries with Safa, that they had to do things the right way because we equal, and at times they didn't like the fact that I was pointing it out, because what maybe listen, I'm just throwing things out there, but I'm thinking if you wanna take away from giving someone the same, then what happens to whatever is left if you cut so many percentage of that should be going to players? Then where does that go? Where does that fund go? Does it go to officials' pockets, or does it go where that money should be going to the players? So that was always my struggle, my fight with that, and they hated the fact that I was so transparent and I wanted equality, and I didn't want it to be treated differently, because if I'm already treated differently because the contract that myself and my manager, my agent, negotiated at my club, that is my pride and joy. That is what I did. I wanted that. So everybody's contract is different. But when we come to the national team, we didn't negotiate with Safa. We one team. So everybody should be getting the same. So I was always standing up for those rights. And yeah, it landed me always in hot water. And at the times it became so hard where you had to choose to come and play for your club or country, and the club doesn't want you to go, and then the national team. But because I was always in these kind of fights and things weren't going, so it kind of became a little bit easy to, if the club doesn't want me to go, I don't go.
Let's hear from one more of our listeners. I know many people would like to engage, but time for one more.
The GOAT. Benny is the GOAT. Oh, I'm so excited. Benny, you are the GOAT. Thank you for being the person that our children are looking up to. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for what you've done for this country. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think sometimes we forget to just say thank you to our sports people. We're looking up to you. We still look up to you. Thank you, and may God bless you. Bye.
Yeah, it's a wonderful note on which to end, and I'll add my thanks in a moment. But Benny, we chatted a little bit before about that actually writing this book was difficult because, it's one thing to sit down and talk about, as we did at the beginning of the show, that header that puts you 2-1 up against Manchester United. But your life has consisted, as everyone's does, not just of the golden moments, but the tough times as well. And I just want to firstly say that the result is your book, Benny, and it is a book that is full of absolute gems that we all need to read. So thank you for that. Thank you for the music. And thank you for the magic on the football field. Whatever color shirt you are wearing, you've produced a lot of it. And above all, thank you so much for spending your time with us here on 702 Drive. I wish we had longer, but we don't.
Thank you very much, John. First of all, for having me. It's been an absolute blast, and the time really did go.
It flies.
Years passed very quickly, but I want to give a massive shout out to all the people that send in messages, and just for that last note from that beautiful woman, just for thanking me. And I think that was the first time I've ever heard somebody say thank you for what you've did, and for their kids looking up to me. And that's why I wanted to play football. That's what I wanted to do. I knew it was very hard for me, but just to hear someone say that their kid is looking up to you, and that is what gives me the greatest pleasure. And I hope we have many, many more Benni McCarthy's, people coming from underprivileged areas, getting the opportunity and not giving up on their dreams and making it, because this country is bags and bags of talents, but it's just, they need to believe. And I hope that this gives their... So thank you for all the messages. I really appreciate it.
And thank you again for your time. 702 Drive. It's coming up for 5 o'clock.
Do you believe every child deserves a chance at a brighter future? Gift a Child Children's Home does too, and they need your help. Your support can make a huge difference in the lives of these kids. Whether it's a small donation or some of your time, every bit counts. WhatsApp 065-884-6699 and find out how you can lend a hand. Gift a Child Children's Home, because every child deserves love and hope.
Buy any Hills pet food and you could win one of 10 holidays worth 200,000 Rand each. Or take the bucks. Scientifically proven formulas for your pet. An adventure for you. Hills Pet Nutrition. Science does more. T's and C's apply.
With Outsurance, saving on your car insurance feels like finding the last parking spot at the mall. 45-year-old Jason saves an unbelievable 520 Rand on his 2025 Hyundai i10. Get a quote now, and if Outsurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP, T's, C's and information online.
This is EWN.
Macpherson calls for stricter regulation of construction sector, and Parliament approves a salary increase for the President. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Public Works Minister Dean Macpherson is calling for stricter regulation of the construction sector. This as the search continues for owners of a construction company that was working on a collapsed building in Omonde. 9 people died in the incident, while 3 others are receiving treatment for serious injuries in hospital. Macpherson addressed members of the media at the site of the tragedy today. He says it's time to deeply introspect on how the built environment is regulated. His comments echo those of Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi, who believes the deadly incident could have been avoided. Jabulile Mbata reports.
The Premier says the 2-story building that caved in yesterday was built on a public road and near an electricity power line and should have been noticed for its incorrect positioning. He addressed the media earlier today after all 3 bodies of the last construction workers were retrieved. Yesterday, a slab of the 2nd floor caved in, killing 6 workers immediately. Lesufi has admitted that incidents of this nature should not be happening because there are inspectors within the construction sector responsible for ensuring compliance. He also raised concern that the building was near completion, yet there were no building plans approved by the city.
It hurts me mostly because these are mistakes that we should not tolerate, especially when, as I said, by the economic hub, there's so many buildings that are going up now. So you can't still make this kind of mistakes. But I don't know the reasons why it collapsed.
Lesufi says if there was an oversight, officials will be held accountable. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Omonde.
The National Assembly has approved a 3.8% salary hike for President Cyril Ramaphosa, with some political parties challenging him to forego the increase that will take his annual salary up to 3.4 million rand. It's been just over a month since the president approved the same increase to ministers and other parliamentarians, but some opposition parties are of the view that his performance is undeserving of the hike. Others believe he should set an example in the tough economic times, especially given that he is a billionaire. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
While the ANC's Deputy Chief Whip Doris Lakude has pointed out that chief executive officers in both the public and private sectors earn far more than the president, the DA's Deputy Chief Whip, Xolile Nodada, reminded the House that so does Parliament's top executive, Xolile George.
And while the president will now earn more, the secretary to this Parliament earns approximately almost 2 million rands more than the president a year.
The EFF's Poppy Mailola is of the view the president should set an example by foregoing the salary hike.
He should be standing here and saying, I have my billions. Please do not increase my salary. In fact, take my salary and give it to the Marikana widows.
Although the MK party did not reject the increase, MP Mzwanele Manyi said Ramaphosa has failed to lift millions of South Africans out of poverty. The salary hike will also apply to the salary for life paid to former presidents. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The International Relations Department has advised South Africans stranded in the Middle East to contact their nearest embassy for assistance. Iran has been locked in escalating tensions with Israel and the United States, with both sides launching airstrikes. The airspace in the United Arab Emirates remains closed as the conflict in the region intensifies. As a result, several South Africans remain stranded in the Middle East with no clarity over when they will be able to return home. Alpha Ramushwana reports.
Airports company South Africa has confirmed that Emirates and Qatar Airways flights to Dubai have been suspended indefinitely. The move comes as American military bases in Dubai and other countries in the Gulf continue to face threats from kamikaze drone attacks. The United Arab Emirates Defense Ministry confirmed this afternoon that the country's airspace remains closed, with missiles still flying over the region. Officials say 172 missiles have been intercepted and destroyed, with most falling into the waters near Dubai. July. Meanwhile, in a social media post, the South African government has urged citizens stranded in the Middle East to visit their nearest embassy to register and ensure their whereabouts are known. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
The DA's mayoral candidate for Johannesburg, Helen Zille, says she will make a decision on whether or not to join the municipal council after the party's elective congress in April. The DA currently has a vacancy on its list of councillors in Johannesburg. Tabisokoba reports.
Since making the move from Cape Town to Johannesburg, Helen Zille has had her hands full, from campaigning to be the next Johannesburg mayor to also dealing with the factional battles within her party as the DA's Federal Council chairperson. Speaking to media during an event in Pretoria today, Zille says she doesn't want to add a third job to her busy schedule.
When you're a councillor, you don't go in there and warm a seat. There's a lot of work to do, a lot of reports to read, a lot of issues to take up, and I can't do 3 jobs at the moment. Run a campaign, be the SG, and be a councillor. So I'm waiting till after April when I've stood back from our current position in the DA.
The DA's Federal Congress has been set down for the 11th and 12th of April, and after 2 terms as the DA's Federal Council chairperson, Zille says she won't be contesting for re-election. Tabisokoba, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
And the Sudanese government has pointed the finger at Ethiopia for drone attacks which it says targeted certain sites in the country. This marks the first time the government has announced direct official accusations against the country. According to Sudan, the attacks took place last month into this month. The government has now warned that it reserves the right to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity by the means it deems appropriate in the ongoing war. Gold is trading at $5,258.11 an ounce. The rand is at 16.44 to the dollar, 21.68 to the pound, 19.07 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $77.75 a barrel.
In the traffic in Randburg, there's been an accident on the N1 South at Malibongwe Drive, causing heavy delays. And as an alternative, you may try the William Nicol Drive. And in Oakdean, there's also been an accident on the N12 West, causing bumper-to-bumper traffic.
In your sport, Kaizer Chiefs aiming to restore pride as they take on Richards Bay in the Bedway Premiership. Rassie Erasmus says the Springboks will prioritise squad depth in 2026. And John Rahm accuses the DP World Tour of extorting players with Live Golf deal.
A cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 15 degrees, peaking at 24. Pretoria 17 and 25, and Vereeniging 18 and a high of 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Public Works Minister Dean McPherson is calling for stricter regulation of the construction sector following a collapse of a building in Omonde.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, 9 minutes past 5. Yeah, we're all still buzzing after a wonderful hour spent with Benni McCarthy. His autobiography, called Benni, has just come out. Really suggest you grab a copy. It's a wonderful story of his life, but it also gives you so much of a sense of what goes on behind the scenes in the life of a top football player, both in South Africa and in Europe. Still to come on the show, we're going to be reflecting on aspects of that terrible construction building collapse tragedy out in Omonde. We'll talk to Prof. Richard Walls, who is at Stellenbosch University. He's an expert in this field. And then I guess it is a kind of big day for sport on the show, because we're going to look ahead to the Proteas New Zealand T20 semi-final match. All of that coming up in a moment. A couple of you responding to the conversation with Benni with some memories of your own. But I do want to comment on something that has been in the news regarding Public Works Minister Dean McPherson. Now, questions are being asked and issues are being raised about the fact that his partner travelled with him to attend a BRICS event, a BRICS conference, I believe it was. I think it's described as a forum in Brazil. And the DA has been asked about the fact that 350,000 rand in public money was spent on this. Helen Zille, in response, has said that he complied with all of the details that are required to confirm a foreign travel trip with the party. But here's something that I think is less than adequate. She, in a conversation with News 24, says the form submitted does not make mention of his partner accompanying him on the trip, but there is no field where that specific question is asked. And you have to ask the question, would the DA accept that as an excuse from anyone else in government? Whether there's a field on the form or not, surely it is relevant that somebody's partner is traveling with them, not because we need to know their business, but if there's a cost to the public of 350,000 Rand, given what has been said by the DA in the past about this kind of travel, then I think it would be relevant. And I'll come to what they said in the past in a moment. John Steenhuisen said in his comment, the trip was fully compliant with the Ministerial handbook. Well, not so long ago, the DA actually went to the public protector, filed a complaint, and called for the abolition of the handbook in its entirety. So not so long ago, they were saying, well, this is a handbook that is not worth the paper that it is actually written on. And in the statement, and I'll read this for you, this is what they had to say about the handbook that John Steenhuisen has just said acts as adequate justification for the step taken by Minister McPherson. He said, should the public protector confirm that the ministerial handbook is indeed unlawful in its entirety, it would mean that Ramaphosa and all of his ANC predecessors have for decades illegally taken hundreds of millions of rands from taxpayers in order to fund the luxury lifestyles of multi-millionaire cadres, I beg your pardon. So, yeah, I think that if you're against the handbook, against what it allows, and that you believe, and they go on to say, by the way, that these decisions should actually be made by Parliament. Parliament should be the one to decide on cases where certain benefits, such as security measures or transport for official duties, may be warranted. My thoughts on that? Let's hear yours. It's 13 minutes past 5 o'clock.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Oh, Benni McCarthy. Hey, what a player. I remember this guy. I've got a souvenir. I think it was on the AFCON 98. South Africa was playing a semi-final against Democratic Republic of Congo. And by the way, I'm from Congo. We were winning 1-0. Then this McCarthy just called a brace and we lost. South Africa went to play the final and lost against Egypt. I used to love this guy. Yeah, now this is one of an African legend, Too much respect for you, McCarthy. Too much.
John and the team, good afternoon. Speaking to Benni, there's one thing that Benni did at Orlando Stadium while it was still at Pirates. It really touched me. It was during the warm-up session, they're doing a target shooting, and he hit the ball. The ball went off. He missed the target, and it hit one of the spectators on the grandstand. Benni jumped the advertising boards into the stand to attend to that lady. He even called the first 8 guys of Orlando Pirates to come and attend. To me, that cut deep, and the respect he had for us supporters, it was huge. I really, really admire that guy. It's Andy Lay in Brackendowns.
Yeah, thanks so much for all of those. Get the book. It's called Benni. And if you didn't manage to hear the interview, it'll be up on our website, primemediaplus.com, alongside lots of other good stuff from the 702 day and week. Right, at 14 minutes past 5, EW in traffic with South African Airways. Together with their airline partners, they can take you further than ever before. Book at flysaa.com now.
EWN traffic.
Kumotso Munyai with the details.
Thank you, John. So we'll start in Randburg. There's been an accident on the N1 South at Malibongwe Drive, causing really heavy delays. As an alternative, please try the William Nicol Drive or the other local routes and then try to rejoin the N1 a little bit further down. In Oakdean, the traffic remains sluggish on the N12 West. It is due to an earlier crash. This is between Komaro Street and Kliprefir Drive. Let's look out for those peak time delays starting in Sandton. If you are leaving Sandton going towards Midrand, there are some delays on the N1 North between the Betlu interchange and New Road, as well as in Calvin on the N3 South from the Betlu interchange towards the Galulis interchange. If you come across any other traffic on your side, please do send us a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702 or send us a tweet on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
In 2021, South African Airways' new journey started. And the journey has brought us here. Over 15 aircraft added to our fleet, thousands of new flights scheduled every year, and 19 routes on our map to connect you to more of the world. We're proud of how far we've come, but we're not finished yet. We're still raising our standards in the air and on the ground. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
So your investigation is done on the SAPS officers, like Wally Riode, who's one of them?
Yes.
Will you be telling the public what the outcome of that investigation has been and whether or not the actions of Wally Riode were legal?
What we've done as IPID, we've sent through the recommendations to SAPS, who is the employer, asking them to institute disciplinary action against their members because we felt that there was a case to answer.
When did you send the recommendation to the SAPS that they must take disciplinary action against their members?
It was sent last year.
When last year?
The date evades me for now, but it was sent last year.
Lizzie, shipping, IPID spokesperson.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Mzansi, Powerball and Powerball Plus are making it rain lots of cash this March with a big 102 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday. Don't delay. Play Powerball for an estimated 68 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 34 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Baba Black Sheep. Have you any wool? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. More than 3 bags full. We think beyond today, tomorrow, more. Look up, look far ahead. We may choose to leave the herd. There's greener grass where fewer care to tread. Baba Black Sheep. Proof of what we do. Better for clients for over 20 years. Courage, we hold the course for you. Baba Black Sheep, if you want more wool, it takes black sheep thinking. Camissa Asset Management. Invest different. Camissa Asset Management is a licensed FSP.
Morning, sir. Hey, got up the shop. Topping up.
Yeah. Hey, remember when our coffee didn't taste this good?
And when the Wi-Fi dropped 3 times a day?
Yo, my
good
man.
times.
Now we've leveled up. High-speed Wi-Fi, private spaces, on-site support. This place runs like a machine.
Yo, flippin' seamless.
Yeah, that's we work, eh?
And my team's like loving it, eh? Productivity's up. No one's fighting over the fridge.
Yeah, I know. It's the dream.
WeWork, Africa's largest co-working spaces. WeWork.co.za. Made for work, built for business.
The JBX talks at this year's Joburg Film Festival offer something truly valuable for anyone interested in the business of storytelling. Join industry leaders, creators, innovators, and storytellers as they unpack the future of film, streaming, technology, and content creation. Expect insightful panel discussions, practical masterclasses, and conversations about where the creative industry is heading, both locally and globally. Whether you're a professional, a student, or simply passionate about film, the JBX talks provide real knowledge and real networking opportunities. Be part of the dialogue at the Joburg Film Festival. Secure your seat today by visiting joburgfilmfestival.co.za.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Let's focus our attention now on the terrible tragedy out in Ormonde, where the collapse of a building has claimed 9 lives. At the moment, there's very little clarity as to what actually happened there. For a start, the executive mayor, Dado Morero, said the city had no record of building plans being submitted for the construction. Worse, they seem unable to establish who exactly the construction company is. This would suggest a degree of lawlessness in this space that can only but have these kinds of consequences. So how should it work? Professor Richard Walls is Professor of Structural and Fire Engineering at Stellenbosch University, and we welcome him to the show. Prof, thanks so much for giving us your time. This is a terrible state of affairs. How can somebody simply go ahead and start putting up a building? Would that suggest that in the area where this happens, building inspectors are either absent or not doing their jobs?
Good evening and good evening to the listeners. So, as I said, the details are still coming to light, but correct, they should have been a council plan submission, and that should have then resulted in a site visit, etc. In big cities, it is difficult for municipalities to know every time a building, something happens on site, to inspect all places and all times.
Right.
But there certainly are a few red flags that have gone up in terms of what we see on site.
In terms of those red flags then, I mean, what has particularly struck you?
Well, firstly, as I said, there is no council approval. But firstly, though, just as a friend always says, filling in the wrong paperwork doesn't mean something's unsafe. It's that there has been things that have been skipped, there have lacked things, but ultimately there does seem to be some irregularities in terms of the construction, in terms of just looking at the building on site and the collapse. There are concerns regarding structural stability that now we must find out, was it a design flaw or construction flaw? But it looks like it's some sort of precast hollow core slab.
Right.
Nothing was linked together, and it looks like something was incorrectly built or designed, and it kind of just fell down like a pack of cards once the first thing went wrong. And that shouldn't happen in a building. You should have what's called robustness, so that if one piece of the structure does fail, there shouldn't be what's called a progressive collapse with a large area falling down.
In terms of what we might have learned from the tragedy in George about approval processes, I've to some degree lost track of who didn't do what they should do there. Is there anything that we should have learned from George that we didn't, that is perhaps a contributing factor to the tragedy in Joburg South?
Well, the frightening thing is it's not just George. We've had the KZN disaster as well recently in Verulam and one or two others. The one thing, there isn't a single aspect you can look to and say, do X and the problem will disappear. It's multiple levels of control. So we need good quality plan approval. That's a quick turnaround, because also when things are delayed, then people, take unethical decisions and shortcut it. It happens all the time, unfortunately. It's very common. But then well-trained engineers, proper oversight, economic conditions. Also, when times are tough, people cut corners. Very sad, but it happens. And then good quality contractors. We've had a major brain drain in the construction sector, lots of engineers overseas. So then maybe you don't have the same technical competency on the contractor or the engineer side. All these factors together, and then just general lawlessness and lack of enforcement, and they contribute towards these sorts of disasters. But we don't know specifically what were the driving factors on the site.
Okay, well, there's lots more that we need to find out, but we certainly now, and we thank Professor Richard Walls for that, joining us from Stellenbosch University. We thankfully now, I think, have a framework for the kind of questions that we actually need to ask in this regard. 7:02 drive, 24 minutes past 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 7:02.
Well, I don't know where you're going to be tomorrow at 3:30. I'm going to be in the studio working, but I will have at least half an eye. Try not to get too distracted. Keeping an eye on the T20 World Cup semi-final. South Africa up against New Zealand. We beat them handsomely in the group games, but this is a brand new match. So how do we look ahead to it? Let's welcome somebody who knows all about being in a squad chasing success, who knows all about being in the kind of pressure cooker situations that will certainly prevail in Kolkata tomorrow at Eden Gardens. Rassie van der Dissen, welcome and thanks very much for joining us on 7:02.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
So, I mean, when a squad is on a positive roll, like the Proteas have been out in India in this World Cup, what are the kind of conversations that either do happen or should happen? Because obviously you want to stay positive. You know you're in great form. Is there a but, or do you just feel the wind at your back and fly?
No, I think the talk will be, trying to keep the momentum going. It's sport and it's cricket in that, and everyone knows that on the day anything can happen. So the guys definitely won't be taking anything for granted. The form, it's as a batter, it's one ball that can dismiss you, and as a bowler, the guys will tell you on good batting wickets, on the day anyone can get hold of you. So they'll be pretty level-headed, pretty grounded, knowing that tomorrow is a new day and they got to get up tomorrow and do it all over again like they've been doing the last 3 weeks.
How hard is it to sleep the night before a World Cup semi-final? I mean, obviously I've never been in anything remotely similar, but at this point, is everybody used to it, close their eyes, turn a few times and they're out?
I think it's a very individual thing, John.
Yes.
The last time we were at Eden Gardens in Kolkata was the 2023 World Cup. It was a 50-over format then. And if people think back, we had a very low-scoring tight match against Australia and ended up just on the wrong side of that. So Eden Gardens is a very special place to play. I think there'll be about 80,000, 90,000 people there. So it is a big occasion. It's not just another day. It's not just another match. It is a World Cup semi-final. So, these guys are experienced. You sort of know what to expect by now. But, get to bed early so the 2 hours of tossing and turning doesn't affect you too much tomorrow.
What has impressed you about the team? I'm assuming you're chatting to guys, whether it's WhatsApps or the occasional calls, so maybe you're getting some team news and share what you can. But just as somebody watching the games with the insight that you have, what's been especially good about the Proteas over these couple of weeks?
I think, John, it just looks like we're playing how we want to play, if that makes sense. I think the World Test Championship final and the fact that we won there and finally sort of got the monkey off our back has really made a difference in the pressure, the expectation, not only of the guys themselves, but of fans, of other countries looking at us and talking about us. And I think the guys are just looking like they're playing without that weight on their shoulders. It helps, of course, that all the batters are in good form, from Aiden at the top all the way down to the guys in the middle, and the bowlers are bowling well. And when I say it like that, it's simple, isn't it? If guys play well, you're going to end up on the winning side more often than not. So everyone's playing well. Everyone's in a good headspace, and I think that's why we've been able to be so successful and so consistent in this World Cup.
And just finally, and a last question, Rassie. I mean, what really struck me about the game against India was we were really up against it in the beginning. Loss of early wickets. The Indian bowlers who you would expect to be in great form were, and yet they managed to, first of all, settle things and then build and go from there. Are there perhaps different eras, a less experienced team perhaps, where it wouldn't have gone that way, and that this is a measure of the kind of confidence that you're talking about?
Definitely. I think a guy like David Miller there in the middle, he was one of the guys who sort of dug us out of that hole.
Yeah.
The guy's been playing for South Africa for 14, 15 years, I want to say. He's seen it all. He's seen all the pressure situations. And I think context is also an important thing. And I think most of those guys know that, you know what, it is sport, it is T20 cricket, it's so volatile. If we do end up on the losing side, the sun will come up tomorrow and life will go on. And I think that sort of perspective allows the guys to play their natural games and get the team out of pressure. So, like I said, tomorrow will be a tough game. We know New Zealand and knockouts in South Africa, what they've done to us in the past. And I'm sure the Kiwis would be reminding us of all of that tomorrow. So there'll be big pressure tomorrow. Hopefully the guys can, like I said, be very clear on what they want to do and continue what they have been doing.
Thank you so much for your insights, Rassie van der Dussen, Proteas cricketer, sharing with us his thoughts ahead of that huge match at a massive venue in Kolkata. We play New Zealand tomorrow at 3:30, holding thumbs.
EWN Business.
Well, on the markets, you would hold thumbs if you had any thumbs left to hold. It's been I don't know if it's a record-setting brutal day, but it's been brutal.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to go back to Liberation Day, actually, and Trump's tariffs.
Okay.
I mean, frankly, the JSE needed Rassie van der Dussen opening today
Yes.
to try and stem the flow, because the all share is down 5.5%. I mean, it really is astonishing, John. And the US markets following that lead, I'm afraid, they're down significantly too. And this is all because the price of oil going to nearly $84 a barrel. And this is because Tehran, as expected, has threatened to close the Straits of Hormuz. Basically, no ships are going through there at the moment. And that's 20% of the world's oil supplies. Financials are down nearly 4%. Industrials down 2.87%. Resources, John, down nearly 10% on the day. So gold is slightly weaker. The dollar is stronger. That's pushing the rand weaker. Platinum much weaker too, because there's no demand. There's sort of perceptions of less demand for platinum because no one's going to be buying cars that use platinum. That's the sort of thesis on this for the moment. Obviously, this is all going to change, and it goes day by day by day, as we know. So, yeah, very, very difficult day on the JSE. If we look at Thungela, they're in the energy space. They produce coal. They're up 18.5%, which tells you that people on the JSE are looking for any kind of energy share they can get their hands on. Cecil also up 1.28%. They were up largely for much of the day yesterday, but they've come down a bit. I mean, one or two of the other groups are doing okay. Xaro's up 0.7%, and Discovery eking out 0.35%. That's despite their huge increase in profits. They're up 27%, John, on a normal day. You would think, well, maybe Discovery will be up 10%. So, I mean, Adrian Gore, we'll speak to him later, probably a little irritated by the timing, but not much he can do about it. The ShopRite Group, their sales and headline earnings both up by 7%. We'll speak to Peter Engelbrecht on the Money Show as well. And Nedbank's Jason Quinn, he'll tell us why their headline earnings were up 2% and their revenue up 3%. A lot of the miners are down sharply, John. Implat's down nearly 17%. Northam down 13.4%. Sibanye and Valterra both down nearly 13%. And the gold miners down too. Wilson Bailey Homes Ofcon down 16.5% today. Their revenue is down 4% to 14 billion rand. Operating profits down 3% over the last period. We'll also speak to Aspen Pharmacare, by the way. They've spent a lot of money on a big restructuring of their sterile facilities, but they're also seeing quite heavy sales. Did I say that? From their weight loss drug. And so we are seeing big changes there. Looking forward to that conversation. In the US, I'm afraid following the lead of other markets, the Dow Jones down 2.3%, the NASDAQ down 2.1%, the S&P 500 down 2%. The gold price not as strong as it was, $5,041.05 an ounce. Platinum, $2,033.49. Brent crude, $83.66 a barrel. The rand, John, I mean, what a difference a conflict makes. The rand is now 16.71, not 15.71, 16.71 to the dollar, 19.32 to the euro, and 22.19 to the British pound. Also tonight, we'll focus on the what's happening in the aviation industry and the big impact of what's happening in the Middle East there. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Stephen back with the Money Show between 6 and 8. Let's get the very latest eyewitness news now with Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The DA has downplayed the 350,000 Rand working trip that Public Works Minister Dean McPherson recently took to Brazil with his partner. The party says the trip complied with the travel policies it has set out for its own members. McPherson has come under fire since the city press revealed the details of his trip, with some political parties accusing him of wasting taxpayers' money. Tabiso Koba reports.
Prior to joining the government of national unity, as an opposition party, the DA was strongly against ministers wasting taxpayers' money by taking their partners to international working trips. This was despite the fact that the ministerial handbook does make provision for cabinet members to bring their spouses or partners on working visits. With the revelation that DA member and Public Works Minister Dean McPherson took his partner on a 350,000 rand trip to Brazil on the taxpayers' dime, some political parties have labelled the DA as hypocrites. However, the DA's Federal Council chairperson Helen Zille disagrees.
I do not know exactly what the Ministerial handbook says. The Ministerial handbook governs all of these trips, and the DA also has a travel policy, and Dean McPherson applied under the DA's travel policy to travel.
Zille says the matter is being discussed internally within the party. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Government has unveiled new statues of former President Nelson Mandela and struggle stalwart Oliver Tambo in Durban. One statue has been installed along the Durban North beachfront, while the other stands at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. Around 22 million rand was spent on the project, with the eThekwini municipality saying this was the most cost-effective option available. After months of being covered, President Cyril Ramaphosa officially unveiled the statues today. Alpha Ramushwana reports.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says the two newly unveiled statues are expected to significantly boost tourism in Durban.
The challenge is to market these statues not only as tourist attractions but as a part of the story of our struggle for freedom.
He adds that the decision to place the statues in Durban carries special significance.
It was also in this city that Madiba made the iconic call for the people of this province to end the violence that had cost so many lives. And it was in this city, in July 1991, that Oliver Tambo handed over the presidency of the African National Congress to Nelson Mandela.
Ramaphosa adds that the installation of the two new statues are also aimed at preserving South Africa's history. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And the U.S. State Department has ordered all non-emergency staff, to leave 6 Middle Eastern countries. This comes as attacks continue to play out in the war in the Middle East. The war began on Saturday when joint U.S.-Israeli strikes killed Iran's supreme leader. Since then, Iran has launched retaliatory attacks across the region. The department says it has updated travel advisories for Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. Earlier, it urged Americans to leave all of the Middle East from Egypt eastward due to safety concerns. A cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 15 and 18 degrees and highs of between 24 and 26.
In the traffic, look out for faulty traffic lights in Midrand at Old Pretoria Road and Olifantsfontein Road, as well as in Midrand at the N1 South and Olifantsfontein.
A top story in EWN, the DA has downplayed the 350,000 rand working trip that Public Works Minister Dean McPherson recently took to Brazil with his partner.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Malikole Mahlati appeared in the Pretoria Commercial Crimes Court yesterday, charged with fraud and theft. It is a disturbing story, isn't it?
Very disturbing and quite disappointed that, officials at this level are still implicated in corruption when there's been so much conversation around corruption. One of the things you'll notice about this case is that there was a procurement process in place. They are alleged to have deviated from that process.
Asipia Funda is the health attorney at Section 27.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Make 2026 your year for personal growth. Apply now for the mid-year intake of either the Master of Business Administration or Postgraduate Diploma in Business Administration programs at Wits Business School. Their MBA and PDBA programs will equip you with the critical thinking and leadership skills necessary to face the challenges of the evolving world of work and business. Applications are now open for the July intake and close on 30 April. Visit wbs.ac.za for more info. Wits Business School, sculpting global leaders.
In 2021, South African Airways' new journey started. And the journey has brought us here. Over 15 aircraft added to our fleet, thousands of new flights scheduled every year, and 19 routes on our map to connect you to more of the world. We're proud of how far we've come, but we're not finished yet. We're still raising our standards in the air and on the ground. South African Airways, Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Zandi Finga's Hive promo agency was growing fast, but the paperwork was catching up. What were you up against?
Challenges that were slowing down my growth was finding clients as well as organizing the promoter application.
But with Yep for online visibility and Zoho to manage her database, she has turned chaos into a well-honeyed hive.
Get Yep by Telkom Business from 249 Rand per month and Zoho from only 1,260 Rand annually. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Oil prices, gold prices up significantly since the start of the US and Israeli bombing campaign on Iran. Markets, in a way, reacting as you would expect.
One of the big unknowns is whether this escalates further, how long it lasts. So there is an element of risk premium being built in as well. So traditionally, some of the more volatile parts of markets have been hit a bit harder than others.
John Stopford is the head of multi-asset income at 91.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking. Refined performance is a measure of discipline. That's how we are invested in your story and why ABSA returned as a proud diamond sponsor for this year's Hedge News Africa Symposium and Awards Ceremony. ABSA is a registered FSP. T's and C's apply.
EWN Sport.
Right, let's get the very latest sports news with Tolakele Mganga. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And Aidan Markram says the Proteas group stage win over New Zealand will count for nothing when the two teams clash in the T20 World Cup semi-final tomorrow. They've never lifted a World Cup, while South Africa are the only unbeaten side left in the last four. Markram also holds an impressive captaincy record of 15 wins in his 16 T20 World Cup matches, their only defeat being the 2024 final.
Afghanistan is a world-class team as well, and they were in the semi-finals in the previous edition. So any team can beat anyone at a World Cup, especially in this format as well. So it takes one or two special performances, and that can be the game. So anyone can beat anyone, like we've said from the start of this competition. And tomorrow we have an opportunity to play in the semi-final, and hopefully we can put a good game of cricket together.
Pakistan's players have reportedly each been fined $18,000 following an underwhelming T20 World Cup campaign in which they failed to reach the semi-finals. The 2009 champions saw their tournament end at the Super 8 stage after they were unable to defeat Sri Lanka by a big enough margin to qualify ahead of New Zealand from Group 2. Pakistan have now missed out on the semi-finals of an ICC men's event for the fourth successive time. Switching over to the Bedway Premiership, where Cedric Kaze says Kaizer Chiefs need to return to doing the basics well. That's when they take on Richards Bay tonight. The Glamour Boys are on a 3-game losing run in all competitions and are looking for an immediate response following a 3-0 defeat in the Soweto Derby on Saturday.
In the first 15 games of the league, we were a team that was not conceding a lot of goals, and that gives confidence as well to the players. But as well, I have to acknowledge that we have been a little bit unlucky in the last few weeks with a lot of injuries, especially the players at the back, and you have to every day to change the back. I think as well that contributed as well to not having a good record.
Liverpool travel to Molineux tonight to take on Wolves in a crucial Premier League encounter just days before the two sides meet again in the FA Cup 5th round. The Reds are searching for a win that will keep the UEFA Champions League qualification campaign on track. And after a mid-season blip, Arne Slot's side have bounced back to win their last 4 games in a row and are hoping to extend their winning streak against Wolves to 7 games.
Things can change really fast, depending also who you play yourself, who the other teams play. We're really close together with a few teams. Things can change every single match day because of who you face yourself and who the other team is facing. So we, as all the other teams do as well, focus on our next game and ourselves. And we know that every game has been difficult for us throughout the whole season. And that's what we expect in the upcoming 10 as well.
Tolakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 16 minutes to 6, EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Let's get the latest. Kumotso Munyai, good afternoon again.
Good afternoon, John. Thank you. We'll start in Pretoria. In Centurion, expect delays on the N1 North from Border Avenue to the Flying Saucer interchange. And staying with the N1, there's been an accident on the N1 North at Linwood Road, and it is causing congestion in both directions, actually, from the Proof Plus interchange and towards it. If you are leaving Sandton going towards Midrand, look out for those peak time delays on the N1 North between the Betlu interchange and New Road. And also in Calvin, expect heavy delays on the N3 South from the Betlu interchange towards Galuli's interchange. Also look out for faulty traffic lights in Midrand at the N1 South and Olifantsfontein, in Rand Park Ridge at the N1 South and N1 North. More traffic updates at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You know that feeling when your child submits their project before the deadline? That's how good it feels to see the OUTsurance pointsmen on your route. Less stress in traffic, knowing they are on the roads. The OUTsurance pointsmen have been easing the traffic congestion so everyone gets where they need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With OUTsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using #PointsmenLove, licensed insurer and FSP.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
So 702 Drive, we've got a bit of time to give you a bit of music. Now, we came by the theme of the music that we're going to do via a rather strange route because many of you have been watching and really enjoying MasterChef Season 6 on ETV every Sunday night at 6 p.m. I'm sure you don't want to miss that. If you haven't watched it already, make sure that you do. Now, I'm not going to give away too much of what's going to be on MasterChef on Sunday, but one of the ingredients that the contestants are going to have to get their heads around and get used to cooking well is working with onions. So we thought, are there any songs about vegetables? And a little bit of Google actually came up with a song that I know really well and I really like. It's from a long time ago, actually, 1962. Anyway, we're going to play you a song called Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs, but we're not going to ask you for songs about vegetables because, unfortunately, that shelf is a little bit light. What we are going to ask you about, though, because this is the why I've actually heard this song as regularly as I have over the years, songs that are instrumental, purely, only instrumental, and they are feature as theme songs in movies that you've watched, and whether you've enjoyed them or not, it doesn't matter. So here we go. Theme songs of movies, songs that are part of movie soundtracks. Let me put it that way because theme song is very specific. That are purely instrumental. Let's start with some Green Onions. Green Onions, Booker T and the MGs. That has been in a lot of movies. X-Men, First Class, Happy Gilmore, Get Shorty, The Sandlot. In TV series, it's been in Twin Peaks. It's been in Beverly Hills 90210. Not movies, I know, but I'm throwing in the TV example. American Graffiti, it was part of that flick as well. So go on, your turn now. Movies that featured songs that are purely instrumental on the soundtrack that have stuck in your mind. That classic from Stax Records from 1962.
last 24 hours. This is what's happened in your world.
A massive building positioned between two towering electricity pylons has now become a source of grief and unimaginable pain for many families. The smell of wet cement and dust lingered strongly in the air as relatives gathered outside the collapsed building, holding on to hope that their loved ones will be found alive. But the pain deepened when the trapped workers were pulled from the rubble with no sign of life. One construction worker who survived the incident says he's traumatized.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Some ingredients are simple until they're not. This week, the humble onion becomes the hero in the pressure cooker kitchen of MasterChef South Africa. The onion family is bold, sharp, and sweet, but also unforgiving, and it can make you cry. Expect a challenge that separates the good cooks from the great ones, because when you strip everything back, flavor has to stand on its own. MasterChef South Africa Season 6 continues this Sunday at 6 p.m. only on ETV.
It was actually a flawless process.
It definitely pays to switch.
I wish we had done it sooner.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know, when you claim, your excess is a fixed amount, not a percentage of the claim. For beauty salons, convenience stores, and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
What do you call someone who thinks outside the box? Creative. But what about someone who codes the box, brands it, sells it, rebrands it, and leads a team that reinvents it? That's a Red and Yellow graduate. Apply now to Unleash Remarkable with Red and Yellow Creative School of Business. A member of Honoris United Universities.
702 Drive with John Perlman was proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
One of the best definitely will be the theme song of the piano.
Okay, the piano movie came out in 1993. I think Michael Nyman did the soundtrack for that. It's not a piece of music. I know. Have we got it lined up? Let's hear. Yeah, let's take a listen. The Piano, 1993. Anna Paquin, by the way, won supporting actress for that. I don't think that's a movie I've actually seen. Anyway, Sam has sent us a list of movies with wonderful instrumental theme songs, amongst many, says Sam. Chariots of Fire, Rocky. Love the theme tune from the very first Rocky. I think it was used again in subsequent sequels, but none of them as good as the original, both the music and the movie. I thought Braveheart has some good music, says Sam as well. Let's see what else we're getting on your voice notes. Send us yours, please, on 072 702 1702.
Good afternoon, John. Good afternoon, 702 landers. Have you heard the instrumental song for the introduction for Terminator 2? It's a very, very good tune. It's very thrilling, if I can say it like that. Anyway, take care. Have a good evening further.
Yeah, so that from Terminator 2, I think it's described as the Judgment Day theme. And I'm just trying to see who's the composer of that. But yeah, very powerful stuff. Let me just see what this gives me here. It says 404 not found. Doesn't sound like a composer to me. Jane says, out of Africa, Mozart's Clarinet Concerto in A. Saw the movie, didn't especially like the movie, I don't think, and definitely don't remember the music. Gavin shares this and says, Herb Alpert, Rise in many, many movies and TV series. And this one, Eunice, really stirs up some memories here. The theme tune from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I can whistle it, but Eunice, if you've just got a moment, just drop me another note and tell me who composed it. It was terrific, and very atmospheric in the movie. Marek has a long span, but gives us the opposite poles and says the theme from The Mission, and also that from Midnight Cowboy, and mentions 100 others in between. Says, thanks for the choice.
Good evening, Dada John and your team. I'm thinking about a song, I think it's entitled A Theme from a Summer Place by Percy Faith. It's also a soundtrack to a movie.
Theme song from Summer Place, A Summer Place. Let's go back to the voice notes. Let's see what you've come up with.
John, Simon from Dorankop. The good, the bad, and the ugly. That one that starts with a whistle.
It's extraordinarily evocative, actually, that music. Ennio Morricone is the composer in the movie. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm sure you can. When I tell you some of the lead actors, you can picture it. Clint Eastwood, Eli Wallach, is that how you say it? And Lee Van Cleef. That's how you say that, even if he was originally a Van Cleef. Okay, we've got a call. Agnes calling from Pretoria. Movie theme song, instrumental. What's on your mind?
It's instrumental, and it's the song from The Deer Hunter.
Oh, okay. Well, do you know what it's called? Let's see if we've actually got it. Yeah, we've got it. Let's play it. Thank you, Agnes. The theme song from The Deer Hunter. Let's go. Theme from The Deer Hunter. It's called Cavatina, composed by Stanley Myers, and I think John Williams, the classical guitarist, the person who recorded it. Bringing us to an end today's show on 702 Drive. If you missed our interview with Benni McCarthy, primemediaplus.com, you can go there to catch that. and indeed anything else we did on this show, and indeed anything else that was done on any show on 702. I'm John Perlman. Have a great Tuesday night. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporates and Investment Banking. Refined performance is a measure of discipline. That's how we're invested in your story. ABSA is a registered FSP. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, the Middle East conflict shoots up oil prices, spooking the JSE and global markets as most of our shares tumble. We asked Discovery's Adrian Gore about the long-term future of medical aids tonight, find out from Aspen how big demand is for their weight loss drugs, and speak to ShopRite's Peter Engelbrecht about food price inflation